For the record here, welcome everybody to session number 2. I'm going to go over a quick recap of what happened in the previous session, and then we're actually going to be jumping into Nick's story to start off with.
Cool.
Kind of get the timelines to converge. All right, so session 1, which I was calling the Long Night, kind of happened as follows. This is just a blow-by-blow, but they've come together as a group and found half of a stonekin in the cut ravine to the northwest of the bonfire. They do not investigate further, but Val and Celestia think they saw multiple pairs of eyes behind them in the ravine after leaving. So this is after you had woken up around a bonfire, kind of in stalks, and then were released as the bonfire burned through ropes that were holding the stalks in place. You also, after you had grabbed your equipment and everybody had kind of been in an initial state of apprehension, if not necessarily panic. Some people were maybe a little more panicked than others.
Guys.
Several of you had actually kind of come together a little bit because there was a man who was shivering and muttering to himself and acting very strange. And carrying an axe and just being very aggressive and very flighty and just suspicious, for lack of a better word. Troubling. The party narrowly avoided a fight with him when Val opted not to follow him into the forest. It basically almost came to a head there. But actually you guys de-escalated and he kind of decided to go his own way. Other things that happened that night, just some small things. Some of the characters tried to get a better lay of the land around them, but probably the largest impact was finding the killed stonekin who had been part of your group in the ravine off to the northwest of where you were. The area around you was just mostly burned trees. It looked like a major fire had gone through it sometime, and there was really no food to be found, very little fire kindling. Very desolate area you awoke in. Then the party came back together after some more hijinks. Certain items were exchanged, potentially without permission, between the group. But for the most part, everybody, if a little bit hesitantly, kind of came together as a unit and decided that they were going to trust each other enough to stay watch and make sure any of the other people who had left or who had stayed by the fire didn't try to take anything from them or hurt any of them. And since you posted watches, the night passed uneventfully. Next day, when you were able to see the lay of the land better, you saw that indeed it was very desolate. There are mountains to the north. You could see mountains far off to the south as well. It seems like you're kind of in a pass, a low pass, or valley. And then again, just a lot of burned pine trees and oak trees all around. Very little living trees to be seen, no water to be found initially. But eventually, Celestia, I believe, managed to go find water after following the sound of some ravens. While this was happening, Val and decided to try to steal from a couple of humans who were standing in the fire. They were after some of their food and water, and a couple of unconvincing arguments and disastrous dice rolls later,
It did not go well.
all they managed to make off with was an empty water sack,
And which I still have.
and basically a fistful of bread, which was immediately eagerly consumed. While this was happening, Ben's character Shakte had collected some water by cleverly laying out some of his clothing, most of his clothing, the previous night to collect some dew. It was misty out, there was quite a bit of moisture in the air, and he was actually able to wring enough water for, part of a water skin from that. He was also somewhat unwittingly serving as a distraction for the failed heist. The two human companions decided to leave at that point in a huff, the older being over it, for sure. While this was going on, Butch's character, who we will refer to as the hunter for now. No offense, Val, you are also a hunter. We haven't forgotten about you.
I've just been the one to state my name.
Yeah, exactly. You have a name that's better than the hunter. So
Or cool guy.
cool guy. Yes, the hunter.
I think cool guy is
He's
what
so
we
cool. The
You're
hunter had
around
decided to go
personal
try to
Jesus.
find the shivering man from the night before and see if he was on the prowl somewhere or who knows what at that point. All he found was where his tracks ended at a large burned tree, and then no shivering man to be seen anywhere. The only other signs at that tree were a broken branch high up, probably a good 20 feet up the tree. So definitely some mysterious goings on. After Celestia got back, she let the party know that there was water that she had found. It was a circular pool of very ruddy water. Didn't necessarily look safe to drink right away. And the party ventured back over there. She had also managed to shoot a crow for some additional food. Delicious. All right, so
fly, huh?
I write here that the four, besides Butch's character, find the first pool. And after harvesting from it, Ben's character, Shakte, managed to swim 800 feet down to the bottom. It was a very long swim, and about as long as he could hold his breath, swimming straight down with, the all the oxygen still within his lungs, kind of fighting against him at that point, trying to make him resurface. So it was a close call to get all the way down and back up, even with his Merling lungs, which were quite impressive. And at the bottom, he felt some sort of runes, perhaps, or etchings or carvings. The only thing that he could kind of feel in the darkness was maybe what appeared to be like serrated rows of teeth. But who knows what it could have been. It's just
Who knows?
the feel he got. And then finally, Butch came back to
Super friendly
the fire circle. The hunter came back to the fire circle. And there was a Merlin girl there who had been kind of staring into the fire all night, not talking to anybody, not really seeming to care what happened around her. So the hunter had a conversation with her, trying to encourage her. Seems like it maybe made a little bit of a difference. She ended up giving him a sling that she had on her belt, telling him that he might make better use of it than she would, and that she would have to find her own way. At which point she started to walk west. And to the west, there is a open field with some low, scrubby grasslands. You can see rolling hills, and then perhaps off in the distance, some sharper rocks rising up as the grassland slopes down, and maybe even some greenery, tops of some trees or something like that. Far past that, maybe miles and miles past that, there's a column of smoke of unknown size rising. At this point, the Merlin girl kind of made a beeline for that, and slowly walking across the field, and the hunter followed her at a distance. The party also, at this point, had decided to go west because I believe some of the other members of the party, perhaps, I don't remember if it was Val or Celestia, had flown up and seen that there was open fields out there. The party decides to head west, and also in the hopes of potentially finding the hunter, which they're hoping to keep in their party because he's so cool. And Val, who is also a hunter, picks up on his tracks and the Merlin girl. His tracks were harder to find, but she found the Merlin first, and then, a little off to the side, not ruining the trail, and seeming to hang back in a little lighter imprints, a little more carefully placed, the hunter's footsteps. So now, that's where the party sits. But we're going to jump to about 3 days earlier, when Nick's character is being sent to the Outlands. So, I'm going to dive right into that. Alright, so Nick. After a couple hours, as the guards had informed you, a large number of much more haggard and kind of worn-looking soldiers. They look stronger, kind of wiry. Just some of them have partial beards and aren't nearly as green-looking as the other guards you've seen about. They look capable. They look dirty. They look tough. Show up, and it's a contingent of close to 50 of them that you can see. It's now actually quite dark. Most of the light is coming from bonfires and braziers and torches that are being carried by some of the guards. They have a cart that's piled with equipment. That's all you're really able to see before they come up. And one by one, they start pulling, one person out at a time from the holding cage. And you notice they're putting bags over their heads, kind of a loose cloth, but enough that you can't really see out of it. And they're keeping their hands shackled, but the feet now just, the shackles have been removed and they just have kind of like loose pieces of rope connecting them. Or for some of the characters, not at all. You think maybe some of the characters are higher risk, or some of the people are higher risk than others, perhaps. Eventually they get to you. You're actually one of the last to be shackled again, and the sack is pulled over your head as well. And then you're ordered to walk. At first it's a little disorienting, but relatively quickly, surprisingly quickly, as you're walking, you kind of get used to the sound of the people in front of you walking and the sound of the guards and the wardens around you walking, and you don't feel like you're drifting off to the side anymore. If you do, they would kind of lightly nudge you with maybe a spear butt or the side of a rifle or something like that to kind of indicate, not in any sort of cruel way, but just you're drifting out of the line, bud, sort of way. You walk for a short distance and then up what seems like a very long amount of stairs. And zigzag back and forth, and the air gets colder as you're going up. And then eventually you end on what feels like a ramp for an extremely long time. At least 10 minutes walking up this ramp, and the air is just continuing to get colder. And then finally, you feel like you go back inside a building of some sort, because it's warm, and at least comparatively, and you can hear the people's voices echoing off the walls. The guards have already been very clear that nobody is to talk during this process. Occasionally you hear them talking, but anyone who asks questions or cries out or says anything is pretty quickly silenced. Then you feel wood underneath your feet. And you don't know if you've maybe stepped into the back of a cart or what it is, but it creaks and it kind of rocks a little bit side to side, particularly when you walk onto it with your massive size. Some people seem to be a little alarmed at this. They don't know what's going on. And then you're told to sit, and you sit down on a low bench, and you have to kind of just keep going down and down and down and down, and then finally there's the bench. Doesn't look, you're kind of hanging off of it partially. It's not really,
And I have to climb on.
not really built for somebody your size.
Remember my characters.
Yes. But then suddenly you feel like you're falling. Like the floor is being dropped out. Not quickly, but just that kind of feeling of, almost falling asleep and then jolting back awake. And it just lasts for a moment, but right after that you feel cold, harsh wind in your face. And you feel like you've suddenly opened into a massive void area. And you go down for quite a long time. Eventually, the cart or platform or basket or whatever you call it that you're sitting in with the guards and the other individuals comes to a stop, and you're ordered off. Again, they form everyone up. You can barely see torchlight around you from the a little bit of light flickering through the hood over your head. And you're ordered to march. And you start marching.
I'm just imagining like lights
You know,
off to the
too,
side
and
on either side, like
yeah,
torches
yeah.
while I'm
So the
walking,
guards
and I'm
are
like,
walking,
what is
yeah.
going on?
And same
Okay.
as before, you're told not to say anything, not to ask anything. You just walk in silence. And it feels like miles and miles go past. Stonekin are hardy folk, but they don't love walking long distances. It's not their favorite thing. Your feet actually feel a little sore. But eventually,
So big.
they order everyone to stop, and they take them off one by one. When they come to you, and you actually feel the hands of what it feels kind of more like rough, but you feel it on one of your arms, and the grip is longer and stronger. It's not a stonekin, but perhaps a druce. And this character pulls you fairly sturdily. You're used to people not even touching you because you're huge. Pulls you fairly sturdily over, and your arms are placed inside the holes of a pair of stocks. These stocks are made out of metal completely. You can feel the cold metal actually kind of biting against the exposed skin around your wrists a little bit. It's actually just slightly tight on your wrists. And you feel the stalks locked, and you're starting to hear kind of panicked, calls and shouts from the other exiles around you as they're, desperately asking, "What's going to happen to us? What are you doing? Don't leave us here.
Don't touch me like that.
Don't touch me like that. Easy, buddy." And you also then you hear, a clatter of equipment being placed behind you, just a little ways behind you. You hear some cloth falling to the ground. You hear the slosh of water skins and other items thudding to the ground. And then after a moment, there's a bright orange light in front of you, somewhere off in the distance. They still have the hood over you, and it's loosely tied with a drawstring around your neck, so you can't just shake it off your head. And your hands are securely stuck in the stalks, solidly. They're extremely well built, and they're not moving. But your legs are not shackled at this point or anything, and that light just gets brighter, and then you start to feel a bit of heat coming off of it. During this time, you hear the guards and perhaps some horses or mules or other animals disappearing off behind you. And the panic really starts to set in at this point once the guards have left. People are screaming, some of them are crying, cursing, different voices, different races. Just a cacophony of sound for what you can assume is about a dozen or so individuals. And then suddenly you feel the stalks loosen a little bit. And you hear some rattling noises around you from some of the other people. Some of them have stopped screaming and are now seeming to focus their efforts on something else. Stalks loosen. What do you do?
I start to begin to try to shake myself free, and I pull as hard as I can, knowing that they're loose and they're coming loose, and everybody else is quiet, and maybe I hear people starting to struggle, like trying to get out of something, and so I start to pull myself. I start to try to break
Suddenly,
free.
the stalks come loose. They actually spring off your arms because you've been kind of pulling up on them as well. And you hear that heavy metal clatter against the side as it pivots on a hinge. Your hands are now free. What do you want to do?
I pull out, and the strength, the force of me doing that sends me back a little bit, and I, in a panic, pull off my hood, and I start looking around.
All right, and what you see around you is a large bonfire around a fairly small circle of stalks. There's about 10 or somewhere between 10 and 15 stalks arranged in a circle around this bonfire. It's a good-sized bonfire, maybe 10 feet across at the base. The heat's rising up good 15, 18 feet up into the air. And around you there are people also pulling themselves free from the stalks. They're ripping their hoods off their heads. Again, you see those 3 harpies that you'd seen earlier. You notice that there was a rope that was running to a heavy iron and stone post that sits in the middle of the bonfire. And the rope has been burned through, and that's what allowed the stalks to come loose. It was connected to a heavy iron peg that was kind of held under tension so it couldn't move. But now, basically, everybody is free, and they're scrambling and grabbing piles of equipment behind them and looking around frantically. So you see behind you some equipment, which is what you had selected earlier, including the additional piece that one of the guards had given you, or had allowed you to take. So do you want to start grabbing that stuff and getting it all set up?
Yes, I turn around. I immediately start grabbing my stuff like everybody else.
Like a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
We have to ask this now.
Yeah. I start grabbing all my own stuff. I equip myself with I open my rucksack. I equip myself with my Lemire mail.
Okay.
I light my lantern.
The mail's
and I
a
equip my...
little stuck.
I already
You
have my
to
streetwear on,
open
right?
up. Yes.
Like,
you're
I'm
wearing your
already in
streetwear,
there. Okay,
all
so
that.
yeah, I just put on my mail.
You have to loosen some straps, but it does actually appear that it was built for someone of your girth, which is good to know. Which is a little worn. Maybe it had a previous owner. Some of the leather is kind of, crusted a little bit from sweat. It's been hardened, so probably not the first person to have worn this mail. That fits you. and it's good to go.
It's on me.
All right. And
I'm ready to
and
go.
You take your war axe, which is just kind of like a large hatchet in your hands.
I tuck it in my pant belt. No, I don't even have a belt.
Yeah,
Wait, do
you'd
I?
have like a ring
Okay.
belt or something.
Okay, yeah, I just tuck it in
Pretty standard.
my belt, and
All
like this part, I just take it and shing
Yeah,
because
so it
it's
just
like a
hangs
hatchet,
there, it's
you know,
in a good
for my
position,
hand
ready
because
to
my
go.
hand is like for that guy's hand. So I'm like, whoa! I just chink, put it in there. I have my Lemire mail on. I put the rucksack back over my Lemire mail, so I know it's on me in case I find anything else. I know it's available,
Okay.
and I start heading towards.
Okay, you throw your food and your water into your.
Oh yeah,
Your
yeah.
rucksack
All my
as well?
food and my water that's lying there on everything. I throw it in
Okay.
my rucksack. Actually, I
There you go.
Oh.
and I
Hey!
close and I. Wait, hold on. I would have lost some water. That would have really sucked. Now I'm losing time.
You fumble with it a little bit.
Okay, this never happened in a real situation. And I throw it in my seat.
I don't know. I would be a little
I'm just like, this is a backpack. It's over my hands. I'm like, oh, and I start running. I start running. I don't even know where I'm at. I just start running towards mountains. I just start
You
running
can't even
towards
see mountains right here. but
Okay.
You have a pretty good sense of direction, so. you
What
head
I
north.
think are mountains.
You head north.
Okay.
As you're starting to kind of exit the ring of fire, or firelight around you, you hear a woman's voice call out to you. She says, "Hey, big fellow. Yeah, you. Stop. I want to talk to you." You stop. You stop and turn? Okay. You see a Druce woman, so a dryad. She's pretty tall. About 6'5", something like that. Looks sturdily built. Actually, one of the few races that could potentially go toe to toe with a Stonekin in some way. She's standing there. She's not wearing very much clothing compared to the other people. Part of
Because
that
she needs
is
to tempt you.
no, and it looks like it's been woven out of bark. A lot of her bark-like skin is exposed, like completely on her arms, some of her midriff, basically like knees down. But she has a sort of like shirt or bodice made out of woven bark, and it has bits of foliage sticking out of it. It looks kind of curious. It doesn't look like the clothing anybody else is wearing. She also, very curiously, is holding a rifle in her hands. Druce do not usually carry firearms. They're afraid of fire. But she's holding it, and she's got a rucksack on, and you can also see a fighting knife kind of tucked into a belt that she's wearing. So she's also equipped, and she walks up to you. Where are you going?
I do not know. But you seem to be able to. You seem to be familiar with this area. I take my rucksack off. I hold it down at my side, and I ask her, "What do you want with me? Why do you have that rifle? You're a druid? Wait, what?
Druce.
Juice. A druce.
Druce. Or you could say dryad too. If
You're
know
a
Druce,
dryad.
you refer to as a
You are,
dryad, but
yeah.
druid.
You're a dryad. Why do you have a firearm? What is this? This is so unfamiliar to
She
me.
kind of tosses it from one hand to the other. She looks very familiar with it. And she says, "They're wonderfully practical, don't you think?"
You should bring her back to the party. She can teach me.
I suppose, especially.
And then she kind of cocks her head to the side a little bit, and she says, "I wouldn't go the direction you're going right now. We should go south."
Why is that? What's south?
She kind of glances over her shoulder. She goes, "I don't really know, but I heard back in Barrier Town that you need to go south and then you need to go west. There aren't good things to the north. You want to come with me?"
How do I know I can trust you? I'm a stonekin. I can handle myself fairly well.
That's fine. I don't need you either, but two's better than one. And you can't trust me, just like I can't trust you. But I'm happy to walk 20, 30 feet from you, so I've got time to react if you come after me. And you know that a single rifle shot wouldn't put you in the ground. unless I aim really well. So, what's the harm?
Okay. You seem to know this territory better than I. I can trust you. You can trust me, because I can crush you. So,
Inner voice. You ever split wood with the Dex?
Yes.
I have a weapon too.
She kind of slyly looks at you and she goes, "You could, but I bend before I break. Let's go."
Okay. Okay.
So you walk back to the circle of firelight, and you see those same three harpies,
Bends him anyway.
and they're kind of looking at you suspiciously. But as soon as they notice your companion, they turn their eyes to her. One of them walks forward, and kind of he's kind of holding a defensive posture. You can see he has a shield on one arm, and he's holding a longsword in his other hand. Their weapons are out. They're ready to be used. They're not being held casually or, tucked into belts.
And
And the harpy points at the juice and he says, "You, Barkskin. I don't remember seeing you in the holding cell. When did they bring you out?" She kind of shoots a glance at him, looks back at you, smiles and says, "Ignore them. Let's go." Keep walking. And actually to the point where the three are kind of behind you. The harpy, the same one who had spoken before, says, "Barkskin, stop where you're going. I have questions." She keeps walking. And then suddenly, you hear rumbling behind you, and cracking of trees, and then a sort of pulsing hiss coming through the air. But it's too loud to be coming from an animal. It's extremely loud. And immediately, your Druce companion, your Dryad companion, her composure changes. Her eyes become wide, and you can actually see white around the amber that was in the middle of her pupils. And she looks at you and she says, "If you want to see daylight, run." The hissing continues, and she bolts off to the south, running very quickly on her long legs. You actually see her kind of start to disappear into the darkness. Do you want to follow her?
So, so I hear this sound coming from behind me, and she seems panicked.
From the north?
From the north.
Yeah, I hear it coming from the north. Yeah, because we're already facing south. Sorry.
Bad things in the north.
Yeah, bad things in the north, and we hear this or something like that, pulsating.
Yes, slower though, like and it's getting closer and louder, and
Okay.
you're hearing trees and branches starting to crack,
and break and crumble.
and you're feeling like it's
just
strong enough that
decimation.
on each of those pulses. You're feeling it run through the ground. Actually, it's got enough power to
Okay.
it and low sounds to it.
So, I have a stride of 12 and a half feet. So,
All right, but you're heavy, so you
just-
start running.
I just zoom, zoom,
Okay.
zoom, zoom, or whatever.
And
I'm
you
doing.
hear screams behind you and panic, and then you hear a smattering of pistol shots, 3-4 in a row, and then you can see the fire reflected, on the trees ahead of you just a little bit, and it goes out, just disappears, and then all the screaming stops, and the hissing, this hissing thumping noise that you've heard, zoof, zoof. And then it's just dead quiet. Just the sound of your own heavy footfalls as you kind of careen headlong. All you can see barely is like a little glint of moonlight coming off of the rifle, which has now been slung on your Dryad companion's back. And she's running quick. You don't know if you can keep up with her. She's very fast. She's very nimble on her toes. You're kind of like, warmed up, it's, Stonekin aren't sprinters, they're definitely not good at cornering. Fortunately, she's running in a straight line, but she's kind of getting further away from you.
But I can break through small
You're
trees.
Oh yeah, sure, there's branches,
I'm just
dead branches
smashing
breaking
through
off.
small
There's,
trees.
there's like dark ash stains across your clothing now from where limbs have snapped off and they're,
Yeah.
some of them just disintegrating as you run through them.
Because of the especially because of my Lemire mail.
Yes.
It's just
Yeah.
decimating everything I run through. Is
A few of them have like whipped across your face. The only thing you're even remotely concerned about is your eyes.
yeah.
So you keep running after her, but she's getting further and further away, and you're starting to wonder if you're going to be able to keep up with her or not. Do you want to call out to her or
Yeah.
keep following?
I mean, since it stopped, a part of me wants to stop. So I stop.
it's your move.
And
Okay.
so what happens is we're running south.
Approximately, as far as you can tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not the land where you're at.
Not really, no.
And she keeps going.
She keeps running.
And then I hear nothing but quiet, surrounded by nothing but dead silence. And I stop.
It's completely dark around you, except for the sky, where you can see a sliver of a moon and some stars. There's not too much clouds in the sky. It's actually a fairly clear night.
Oh, nice job. I get low.
But the fire is out completely. You see no glimpse of it.
Okay.
You see and hear no movement, nothing. Just a light, minimal breeze moving through dead trees.
So I get very low to the ground. Not
Okay.
low, not like a lizard. But, I get low, I crouch, and I look around me and I check all around me, and I just immediately start to think about where I come from. And I start to think about my survival instincts. And then I just start to walk the same direction I saw her going, but this time I'm walking as quiet as I can be for a stonekin. But I'm just walking casually through the woods. There's nothing to worry about at this point that I feel. Something I've never witnessed before just happened, but I also didn't know her, and what frightened her, and she just kept going. She's faster than me. I'm tired. So I just start to calmly walk, knowing and thinking that I'm okay, following only the moonlight in my path.
Okay. Go ahead
Cutting through trees
Go
and
ahead and
bushes.
roll a perception check for me real quick. So
What
you're
is that going to be?
So you'll look
D20.
at your intelligence or intellect.
My intellect is a
Yep.
7,
And then roll a 20-sided die. So it should be the...
and it has to be more than a 7, or better than.
Well, you don't know what the check is going to be against yet. That's in my own
I'm
mind.
just going to leave it all out.
Yeah.
Dang. My dang rucksack's a problem.
Just threw everything in a panic. So
Okay,
you
so
know.
20.
Yeah, so 20. So just
20.
roll a 20.
This is a 20.
Yeah, that's the D20. So you get
3.
3 plus your intellect is 7.
Okay.
So that's a 10. All right, you're able to see trees, and you manage to keep your sense of direction, or you feel like it's solid, that you're still going south. But you really can't see much else around you. There just isn't quite enough light, and the terrain is kind of flat. It's dusty, ashy, and all the trees are just starting to look the same. Stonekin don't usually care that much for trees anyway. They would be able to tell you the difference
I just
between
ran
one,
through them.
one vein of rock
Die.
and
Do
the
I
subtle,
write
the
plus
subtle
3?
age.
No,
of,
no, that's just one
another
roll.
rock.
That's just one roll.
No,
Yeah,
you just
so
it's
you're
just
just adding.
rolling for it.
Whatever you roll, and then plus your intellect or willpower.
So like next
that
time he
dice.
asks you to check for that, you roll and
Yes,
plus
and then it'll be 7 plus.
So he's
whatever.
telling me what that gets me. A 10 in intellect gets
So
me.
sometimes
I can
they'll,
see
like-
things.
Just
I can
for that
kind of make
check.
out some stuff. My eyesight's
Yeah.
decent. It's almost like it's adapted to a good amount.
Some
to
checks
the dark.
might be known to you, or they might be contested checks where they're basically compared against an NPC or a character or a creature or something like that.
Okay.
And then other ones are just kind of like, I have a number in mind in my head that you need to exceed. Or if you get like a crazy good roll or something like that, or have a really, really high base intellect or whatever, then, there could be different outcomes. So, all right, so you keep walking. And as you're walking, you don't really have hair the way a human would on the back of their neck, but you still have skin and you feel it starting to crawl a little bit. It's not a pleasant feeling, not one you're super accustomed to, but you feel like you're being watched by something out in the darkness. This continues as you walk. It doesn't
This
get
is how it is, Nick.
it doesn't get more intense.
Then
It
he
doesn't
falls
get more
down the ravine.
intense. Yeah. It doesn't get more intense, but it's unsettling to say the least. Continue to walk. And then suddenly, you feel the tap of a rifle butt against your leg. And a familiar voice says, "Hey, where'd you go?" And it's your dryad companion. She's basically crept around you and snuck up on you fairly
Look out.
easily.
She's pretty tall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, fine. I kind of look off to my side.
He's still almost 3 feet taller than her.
Okay,
so-
okay.
My
He's a big
character
boy.
is 9 feet tall.
Okay.
Just so you know. So I'm up to that ceiling.
Yeah.
I'm a big guy. So I look over and I go, what happened to you? You kept running.
She's like, well, I heard your admittedly heavy footfall stop, and I decided to slow down a little. And then I circled back to see what you were doing. Seems like you're on track. Good for you. She's like, I'm pretty sure the danger's past, but we need to keep moving. And after she started talking to you, that feeling of being watched has now kind of dissipated. Maybe it's just that she was watching you, or perhaps it's, having someone talking to you, you don't feel as, alone and as vulnerable. You also notice she's walking closer to you. She was, keeping a good 40, 50 feet between you and her now, or previously, and now she's, 10 feet away from you or so. Walking at your pace. She has her rifle slung over one shoulder, but it still looks like it's ready to be deployed. She says, we're just going to have to keep moving throughout the whole night. Are you up for that?
Can you go all night, Nick?
Because there's always so many in your
Well,
Oh,
well, I have the willpower to go, but I don't know. I'm stonekin. We get tired easily. We're big, not like you small dryads.
She's like, oh, I think you'll be good for it. From what I've heard, which doesn't sound very convincing, there's a place we can rest. Maybe 3 or more miles away. Kind of to the south. Should we try for it?
Lead the way. You know the area better than I do.
She nods, and you continue to walk. And you do walk for quite a few miles. Feels like more than 3. And then eventually you start to
It's
hear...
just 2 blocks, Courtney.
Yeah. Eventually, off in the distance, you start to hear a new sound. And you notice also that the trees have broken away, but as they do, the clouds roll in and you're almost walking blind. Difficult to see your surroundings much at all, but she seems to know where she's going. Maybe it's a good sense of direction. Maybe her eyes are better attuned to the dark than yours, but she seems confident in her steps. Again, walking, 20, 30 feet ahead of you now, a little bit more distance. Occasionally, she glances back, but you can just kind of make out her shape in front of you in the dark. It's just kind of a shadow and an
Small
occasional
nimble.
glint of starlight off of her, polished rifle barrel. But you start to hear wind, a little bit stronger, and it doesn't have that occasional howl or whistle of it moving through trees. And you soon notice that there aren't any trees around you. You've come out onto open fields. You feel grass underneath your feet, and the wind is moving through it. It's dry, it's low, it's kind of shrubby. There's occasional little banks of low shrubs. And the dryad continues to walk in front of you. And then, after several more miles, you hear the rush of a very large river in rapids, strong rapids. Perhaps off to kind of to your right, where you imagine west is.
Okay.
The Druce continues to walk, not really making any small talk at all. And then, eventually, you drop into an area where there's veins of rock coming out of the ground, and then larger hills, and then these hills turn into jagged, tall, kind of cliff-like bluffs around you. Again, you can't really see the terrain that well to make out the whole lay of it, but you're aware of what's immediately around you. And then it's several hours have passed. You've been walking for probably 3-4 hours at this point. Occasionally resting, but you're sore, you're tired. Let's go ahead and actually do a willpower check real quick. So that's going to be the bottom one. Roll a d20.
This one.
Yes.
I think it's...
Oh, you might
yeah,
have 2
you have 2
in there.
d20. You're
Yeah,
good.
you got 2.
You're good.
17.
All right.
I am worn out. I can
Yeah.
imagine myself being beat after 3
The
miles.
dryad hears you kind of
585
huffing and puffing
pounds.
a little bit. Your breathing's labored. She stops and she says, "Do you need a breather?"
I do.
All right, we can stop for a minute. So she sits down, kind of cross-legged, keeping her back very straight. She sits, 10, 20 feet away from you, something like that, and she kind of sits back, kind of settles back a little bit with her arms kind of folded across her rifle, just sitting across her legs, and just kind of looking at you quizzically. But just kind of keeps looking at you, like she's sizing you up. It's a little bit strange,
Like, where'd you come from? How'd you get here?
but she doesn't ask you any
You're
questions.
huge.
She doesn't ask you any questions. She's just kind of looking at you, a little bit, a little bit with her eyes just kind of like slanted a little bit, best you can tell from the distance she's sitting at, with it still being dark.
Okay.
You want to say anything to her, or just chill for a minute while you catch your breath?
I ask her, how did you get here? So, how did you get here? How did you come to this place? How do you know it
for a
so well?
moment, and she goes, I don't really care to share too much, but same way you did. I was a late add-on. That's why I wasn't in the holding cell with you. But I think we were on the same platform that was lowered.
From which part of the veil do you reign?
She, again, kind of pauses for a moment, and she says, "Do you know what of sun and stars means?" Probably not.
Nay.
Well, for a Druze, that means I'm not from any specific part. I wander.
Wanderer. Is that what I should call you?
She thinks for a minute. She goes, "I think I can trust you. You tell me your name, I'll tell you mine."
Well, no, we can't know it. We can't know it yet.
Just gotta write it down doesn't mean I'm gonna use it.
Well, is it a deal?
My name is Havelock of Buddha. I
Havelock.
reign from the north of the steppe.
North of the steppe. I know the steppe well, not the mountains north of it. Boolaroo. I don't know where that is.
Buddha.
Well, my name's Naya. It's nice to meet you.
Naya. Naya?
Naya.
Okay, Naya.
It's spelled N-I-E-A.
N-I-E-A.
She's like,
Naya.
full name.
Naya.
Naya of Sun and Stars. But who's asking? Are you ready to go again, Havelock? Or do you need another minute?
I am worn. So I respond in a heavy. I'm kind of drifting off. I'm worn.
Tired. Okay.
For being as big as I am, I'm worn. So I respond. Nay. It's hard for me to continue on. How much farther do we need to go?
She looks at you. You look like you're just a little bit cold. It is quite cold out. And stonekin are hardy, but they do also get cold relatively easy. She goes, "Well, you'll freeze solid if you stay the night out here. It's coldest in the morning." She's like, "Let's try to get to the river out here. Perhaps a half a mile?" She's like, "Come on, big fella, get up. Do you need help?"
And I get up and I start going with
She goes
her,
at a little slower pace.
and we continue from that point.
And
From
then
that point, just
eventually,
kind of.
as the first light of day is starting to come up, you see the first thing you see, besides the jagged cliff bluffs around you, is you see the first orange light of the sun reflecting off of the river down below you in a valley. You see the tops of dense trees, heavily covered with leaves ahead of you, and you see an old stone tower, the top of which has crumbled away, not too far in the distance. She looks back at you, cracks a little bit of a smile, and says, "That looks pretty good, doesn't it?"
As long as we can start a fire.
Do you have anything to start a fire?
Nah, no, nay.
She's like, that's okay. I do.
Okay, then why would you ask me that?
She
I'm
looks
not
back
up
at
for
you.
tricks.
She looks back at you and says, well, Flint runs out eventually. I was going to save mine. Yours is fresh.
Cool. Well, thank you.
So you continue and you see that the river is actually kind of in a deep valley below you. And as the sun comes up, you see the same tower. You're now quite close to it. It's not a huge tower, but it's significant. The top of it, as I said, is crumbled away, but the bottom is still intact. There's actually a bridge, like an old drawbridge, that leads into the tower. It's large, probably 12 feet tall, 10 feet wide, something like that. Big enough for a horse and a cart to be pulled across it. And it's down. The timbers are old, but solid. The chains to draw it closed are still intact. And there's like a rocky hill that leads up to the base of the tower, and then it drops off, and the straw bridge comes out from that. She unshoulders her rifle, and she winds back the handle on the wheel action of it. And she says, okay, we may not be the first here. You have a weapon. I saw your axe on your belt before. You might want it out.
So I pull it off my hip.
Mm-hmm.
I hold it in my hand, and I look at her, and then I look at her target, and
She's
I
looking
ask,
at.
"What do you?"
She's looking at the doorway.
Okay, or
Yeah.
yeah, I look at her.
She asks if you have anything that can make light.
I have this rucksack.
I think you do have. You don't have to answer, but you do have a lantern.
I do. Oh, I do. I forgot about the lantern.
Mm-hmm.
I totally forgot I had the dang lantern because it's in my rucksack.
Yeah.
So I lit the
Well, you
lantern,
don't
but then
have
I
to bring it out if you
turned
don't
it
want
off.
to, but- okay.
No. I have a lantern.
All right.
I have a lantern. Hold on.
So you
I forgot
lit the
about the lantern. Here's my lantern.
Thank you.
She looks at you and says, "Ladies first. I'm willing."
I just give her, just imagine a really, really deep, just like,
Deep grunt.
just
She's
like
like-
a,
She's like, okay.
Like, okay.
I don't speak Stone Kid. Is that a yes or no?
no comment at that point. I don't even know what to
Fine.
make of it because,
She's like, she
yeah,
says,
where I
fine.
come
Give me
from.
the lantern.
I'm so socially awkward as a character.
She holds
there.
She holds her
In that
hand out.
area.
She
My
holds her
my
hand out,
character.
asking for the lantern. Do you want to give it to her or not? She's like, I don't have all day.
I just have never heard anything like that before. Here you go. I'm sorry. Yeah.
She
Take
takes it. She said, thank you. And she kind of slides it up, the handle up her arm, so it's sitting in the crook of her elbow, so she can keep both her hands on her rifle. And then, as you see the lantern light up her form, you can see that she has, like, char marks and burn marks on both of her hands, leading up her arms a bit. And there's also some, like, on her chin and her neck, as well, like, burned places on her skin. These, on a human, these wounds would have, like, scabbed over and healed, but on a Druce, it's kind of a permanent mark, dark mark in the bark, where it's shiny and, darkened somewhat like pitch. And then she walks into the opening, carefully kind of checking both sides of it as she walks in, and also looks up to make sure there's nothing up above her. She seems very confident with her rifle and her movement. And perhaps even like she's had some combat experience, her alertness.
The way she's
and
checking
confidence,
corners,
the way
looking
she's-
around
yeah,
stuff.
checking nooks and crannies, making sure that the building itself is secure. You walk in after her. The drawbridge creaks a little bit under your weight, but holds. And you get inside and you see that there's an intact roof or a floor above you. The tower's about 20 feet across on the inside. One shuttered and barred window looking out, and then a couple of small slit windows for being able to fire, weapons or bows out of that cover the approach with the drawbridge. There's also like a wooden hatch in the floor, and then a staircase that leads up to the next floor. She looks back at the drawbridge, and there's a winch to close it. She says, "You want to handle that?"
So I just turn, I go over, and I just hit the lever to release the
Okay,
drum
you-
to pull it up or whatever.
You wind up the
Yeah.
chain basically.
Is it? It's not one of
persistent
them.
at first, and you see some rust kind of shake off of the
Yeah.
the chains as they come up,
So I just boom, shoo.
and then you pull it all the way up, and it locks in place. It's now warmer inside now that the drawbridge has been closed, and you get a look around from the light of her lantern, and there's really not much. It's been kind of picked clean. There's maybe some old, crates and storage cubbies built into the walls, but there's really nothing in them. A few scraps of cloth. It looks like somewhere somebody had made a straw bed, but the straw's old and it's actually started to decompose underneath. And it's just an old, cold stone tower. She walks over to one of the slits in the
Drafty.
window, and you notice that her face kind of falls a little bit again. As she
Falls?
looks out. Yeah, like her composure
Expression.
changes from sort of confident and nonchalant as it has been to a little bit concerned. Her shoulders sort of tense a little bit as she's looking out the slot. And
So she looks, and I look, and so I
so you
go
go,
to
you
look,
go ahead
but
and
I'm
look out
so,
into the slots too? Okay.
but it's so hard for me to look through
you have to
that I
lean
just
down.
bash a hole in the wall.
Oh, you can't bash a hole. Go ahead and roll a strength check.
Okay. I'm just all right. Like I move a bunch of pieces. I'm just
You
like
push
so
on-
I
push
can
on the wall.
see.
Go ahead
yeah,
and
I
roll a
just
strength
push
check.
kind of like some pieces out of
Roll.
the way. Like
Roll.
boop boop boop.
Well, you got to roll a strength check, and we'll find
What
out.
is that,
if
a
you can do
20?
anything.
Yeah.
D20.
They're all D20s.
Yeah, any skill check will
Okay,
be
good.
will be a D20.
That's good.
Occasionally
because
we'll use D6
Some
as
things
well.
can get so Dungeons and Dragons
Yes.
confusing.
All right, and then add that to your strength.
My strength, it's 12.
Okay, so you push on the wall, and it's extremely well built, and it's not going anywhere.
Okay.
So you can kind of look at it
I
with
try to
one
push
eye.
pieces out of the way, and
Yeah.
I cannot.
She like cocks her head over, and she goes, "What are you doing?"
I can't see it. I'm big. I'm big. It's a small slot in the wall.
And
I'm
she
a
says,
big
"Well,
guy.
come over to the window, and we'll see if we can open it."
I was just
So
rolling
she
down.
comes over, and sure enough, you can open the larger window that's kind of away from that drawbridge entry position, and
I
you're able to
stick
look
my
out.
head out. I kind of
So-
like put my body out to
All
look.
right, go ahead and roll a perception check for me.
17.
Nice. All right. The sun has come up at this point, and you can see open fields.
Just like
And bluffs, but the tower's on an elevated enough position that you can see over those bluffs and cliffs that were you were walking through earlier. And looking east at this point and a little bit north, you notice far off in the field some like dark gray mist. But it's very dark. It almost absorbs the light. Moving off in the distance, it's very difficult to tell how large it is. And it's also moving against the wind from the trees that you
like
can
an
see around
entity,
you.
like it's an actual.
So perhaps the wind's different there, or perhaps
it's a being.
it's connected to something, or it's being generated by something, but it kind of stays not in a shape, but in a unit. It's connected to itself, and then it flits back into the trees.
Kind of like an ocean of energy.
Yeah.
Like
Several miles
an
away.
ocean
you
of
see this.
shadow.
Yeah, and it's just hard to tell what the scale is, hard to tell any of that. And then, as you hear this, you hear her draw her ramrod out from her rifle.
Like that.
And then you turn around and look at her, and you notice she's dropping a second musket ball, musket ball into her long rifle, and she starts ramming it home with the ramrod. And she looks at you, and her face is still kind of concerned, and she says, "What do you think that was, Havelock? You ever seen anything like that before?"
No, I haven't. I don't know what that could possibly be.
She kind of looks at you, and then she says, "I believe you. Here." She hands you a spyglass. She says, "Take another look at it, if you would, real quick."
I put it up to my eye and I look through it and I remark, I've only ever known anything but the steppe. Or I've not ever known anything but the steppe. About like the north of the steppe and that surrounding area and those the Valerian.
Yes, I think it's the Valeria Mountains.
The Valerian Mountains.
I don't remember the thing I wrote.
Is that what it is
Fine,
on
it's
the
gonna
north?
happen a lot.
Valerium.
Valerium, yeah.
The Valerian Mountains.
Valerian Mountains.
I've only known like that area, and I've heard tales of strange shadow figures in far north that consume areas of the mountains, and that it's almost like a shadow city of shadows. But that is nothing but folklore, and I am only now seeing something.
She doesn't
that
respond,
reminds me of that.
but suddenly feel the cold muzzle of a rifle pressed against your leg. And as you start to register what it is, you hear her say, "I like you, Havelock. You're a good chap. I'm sorry about this." And then she discharges the rifle, both musket balls going into your leg.
Oh no.
The distance is so short, you almost feel the heat of the rifle blast before you feel the musket balls embed themselves just above your knee, through the meat of your thigh. The pain is excruciating. We're gonna have go ahead and take a major.
Just like the biggest sound. Shaking stuff. Okay.
We're gonna go ahead and have you take a major wound with no chance to block it with armor. It's point blank, 2 musket balls, like no chance to avoid it. And the shock of the impact and what's just happened, like, makes you fall to that knee.
Yeah, immediately
It's
like,
agonizing.
collapse.
You've never been shot before. This is incredibly painful, and the 2 musket balls have kind of bounced a little bit inside your leg. And they've actually made 2 different exit wounds coming out. She's backed off a good distance now, and she's kind of actually like crouched down a little bit, and she's looking very intensely at you, and she says, breathe, okay, good. She's like, keep looking at me, just keep breathing. And then she slides a very toughly woven strip of cloth, and it's got like a good steel windlass built into it, and she says, tie that around your upper leg, right below your iliac crest, like as high up as you can get it on your upper leg. She's like, and get it as tight as possible, so tight it hurts. Do you want to say anything to her at this point, or try to do anything?
I'd be swinging.
Are you still in mode right now?
Well, when I fall, I was thinking, but she backed off, and she's more nimble than I am, and it came out of nowhere. So of course I'm more concerned about the pain, and I'm not thinking about where it even came from. It was just like, what was that? Why would you do it? So first thing is, why would you do that? Why the
He's stuck.
would you do that? And what is your reason? I've done nothing to you. I don't even have anything for you to take. Like,
she's like, calm down, don't let yourself go into shock. It's okay. You're a big boy, you can take it.
I ought to
She's
kill
like-
you, woman. I ought to crush your tiny little dryad head
She backs off a
with
little
my
further.
big giant
and
fist.
She pulls a knife from her belt and she uses it to pry up the hatch in the floor. Oh no. She opens it up and then pulls it open, and she says, I completely understand. I would do the same in your position. She's like, but you don't have a rifle, and I do. She's like, the issue, Havelock, is that I can't have that thing following me. And if you're with me, then it's following me. So you have to stay here. I'm sorry. I have more important things to do. And she kind of gestures to the
Like, she doesn't want to put me in danger.
She didn't want to put herself in danger.
herself in
She's
danger.
leaving you
Yes,
as
she's
bait.
She's leaving you as bait potentially.
It's like a who's faster, run from the
Yes.
bear situation.
Okay.
So she gestures to the tourniquet that she slid across the floor to you again, and she says, use it, or you might bleed out.
Hulk smash. So I reach. So she slides it over to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She also drops 2 water skins that she has on her back and 2 bags of food next to the opening of the hatch. She says, "I won't need these, you might." And then she kind of sort of nods her head a little bit, almost like in a sign of respect, and says, "I'm sorry again. Maybe we'll meet sometime and I can explain. If you don't try to kill me first, of course. Which I would understand, but I won't let you." And then she just says, "Good luck," and closes the hatch. And now you're left alone in the tower with a nasty leg wound and a tourniquet. Do you want to try to tourniquet it up?
It took how much off of my what?
It's a major wound.
It's a major wound.
Yep.
I can only
I need
take
I need
how
a way
many
to
of
track
those?
that.
I can't remember
You
how
can
many.
take
You
a
can
lot
take
of those.
3.
Yep.
Take 3 major wounds.
Yeah, they're right here.
Yeah, that's it. Major
So
wounds.
you put one
Do
next to it.
Stoneskins not have minor wounds?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
No,
interesting.
they don't give
I
a
can-
crap about them.
Yeah, minor wounds don't really affect me, but that's a major wound.
Here's how I'll do this. I'm gonna start pirating another working.
Okay, so I have a major wound. I put the tourniquet on, but I'm enraged.
Okay.
I'm furious.
You're not able to put any weight on that leg though.
No, but what I do is my like survival technique, like what I was taught working or coming up the way I did. I just survival kicked in, so I pull myself with my legs and I drag myself down to the bottom floor. I put the tourniquet on really quick, like I just put it on and I tie it
nice
around
and
as
tight.
tight as I can. I use like my hands. I'm like agonized, like and I just start dragging myself in my hands, just do. And this point, like stonekin adrenaline is kicked in, so it's like nitrous oxide, like it's ridiculous. So I'm going, and I'm trying to get out, and I'm trying to find her. I'm trying to see where did she go.
So you go to the hatch.
I guess I go to the hatch. I was thinking I just go down the stairs.
Do you want to take the
I
food
drag
and water that
myself
she
down.
left, or it's just not even on your?
No, I
radar
grab
right
it.
now?
No, I grab it on my
Okay.
way out. I throw it in my rucksack because I'm gonna need it, and she's not gonna get it back because I'm gonna kill her and take all of hers. I'm pissed. No, I'm just furious. I want to get down to the bottom of it.
All right,
You don't
we'll call
just
that,
get to leave.
We'll call
me.
that a major wound right there. So if you just want to toss that on your character sheet.
No. Okay.
All right. As this is happening, you're starting to feel weaker and weaker. The exertion, the initial adrenaline has worn off. The pain is starting to throb heavily. It's spreading up your entire leg, past your waist. You can't feel that leg hardly at all, except for the pain. You've managed to get control of the bleeding at least. Though it was a nasty wound, and you've definitely lost a fair amount of blood. So you make it to the hatch. Go ahead and do a strength check, real quick here.
Oh. No. That's 12.
12, okay. So you strain against the hatch. It's well built, it's solid, and it's definitely blocked from underneath somewhere. But you strain and strain, and then with a roar, you tear it completely off of its hinges. It flies off and
pissed.
clatters across the floor, and you see that there is a long drop below you. And the exertion of tearing off the hatch and the sudden disappointment that you would have to plummet a good 30 feet to be able to proceed. There's no ladder. There's no cutouts in the stone. It's a straight shaft that goes straight down. There's she also left the lantern, by the way. I forgot to mention that, but she didn't take your lantern with her. You just collapse from exhaustion, kind of with your head and one arm just like hanging over the hatch. And the world goes black around you. All right, so back to you guys. Sorry, that was a longish.
So I'm just
intro
laying
there. I try not to
in this
spend that
hatch,
much time on
passed
one
out.
character.
Okay. This is gonna.
It's important context for the rest of you, though. I will say that. So your characters don't know it yet, but
I can't open this. It's not twist off.
oh, I can get you a.
Use your teeth.
Strength check.
It's my beak.
Oh gosh.
I don't really want to imagine them having beaks.
No, they have beak-like
I love
teeth.
it.
They have big like teeth.
I like the idea of having like sharp teeth.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Oh hi.
Kind of regular lips, mouth type thing with sharp teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
An
Shaggy.
intimidating smile.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah, you
hi.
intimidate.
Let's go.
You evil demon!
You are potentially
Go
food.
Oh no.
Kind of
How's it
slightly
going?
larger than the human eyes.
All right,
Yeah.
so
do this.
It's deep.
we've got at this point we are back to, I guess we'll call them the main party moment.
It's a party.
So the hunter is still following the Merlin girl. You've actually made decent progress. You've occasionally caught a glimpse of one or the other of them, kind of as they crest a hill, because the Merlin girl is not moving very quickly. She's not moving, with a strong stride. You guys are walking with determination, and you notice also the hunter. Occasionally, you'll catch just a little bit of a, like maybe a little bit of his hair or. Just his shape silhouetted against the sky for a moment, though he seems to be very careful to avoid that happening. As you're walking across the grasslands.
Here, I'll roll a stealth check.
Go for it.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so and that is to I always forget.
I think
Dexterity.
stealth- Yeah, it's dexterity.
Okay, so 19.
19? Okay. So
I mean, I guess,
yeah,
Prowl.
you've maybe caught
Next
two
time,
glimpses
we
of
pick
him, and
one.
you're like, I'm pretty sure
Pick
that's
one, the dark
him.
one.
But you're mostly seeing the Merlin girl, and not him so much. But you're pretty sure, there was that one moment where you maybe saw another figure, and you're like, oh, is that our guy? I think so. We found human footprints, so we're hoping it's him.
We don't care about the Merlin girl.
Yeah.
We just want cool guy because he might be able to fight.
So
He
it's
just flinched when we came behind him.
Yes. Exactly. That was where 100% of his cool came from.
Oh yeah, I forgot we snuck up on him, and he was just like,
But yeah.
no biggie.
He's so
We're
cool.
like, oh my god. Got a little warm. Okay. So you guys continue across. I mean, are you making any effort to kind of conceal your own movements? I guess would be a question.
No.
Party,
No.
you're pretty much like,
No.
let's go. All right. Or those of you who maybe are trying are being completely by the others.
Wait for me! Cool guy! Don't leave me behind!
But they appear to still be like a solid mile away, but you feel like you're gaining ground. So that's a good feeling.
Encouraging.
Also, at this point, it's a good bit past midday, and the further you go through the scrubby field, you've been looking around, and there's still not many signs of life here. You're not seeing too much animal life.
How tall is the grass in the plains?
This maybe comes up to like knee height in a few places, but most of it's
Okay.
almost like
Sneak it.
It's definitely like a
yeah, and it's really dry, kind of blonde or even almost grayish grass. It still looks
Okay.
just pretty desolate. You're not seeing seed heads on it. It's
Okay.
kind of reedy, a little sharp.
That one's empty.
But in other places, it's just like low, kind of tufty, dull, brownish moss
Okay.
on top of little rock outcroppings. And as you're going, you're getting more and more into, places where the hills rise a little more steeply, and then at their crest, there's a little bit of rock or exposed cliff face, almost as if there are mounds of rock underneath the earth and topsoil on top of that. And in a few places, it's blown away or eroded away over time. Still no real signs of significant water, but you think you can see occasionally maybe a little glimpse of it off in the bank of trees that you can see far off in the distance to the west.
Water? Glimpse of water,
Perhaps,
perhaps?
or just something reflective.
Okay.
Maybe not water, but a little bit of like a glitter. It's
Okay.
not a full blown sunny day. There's still some overcast
Yeah.
to it, and it's still quite far, several miles. So you guys continue to walk, I'm assuming.
Yep.
All right. Any discussion among the group, or is it pretty much?
What time of day is it?
Why do you think
It's like maybe
The,
afternoon.
the hunter is stalking after the she-merling?
Food.
Maybe he likes her.
I don't know.
Does he like fish people?
How do they taste?
How do they taste?
He kind of looks nervously, tries not to look tasty. Try to look as skinny as possible.
We're like right on either side of them.
Go ahead and roll a. Let me see. What would that be considered?
Bluff check.
Let's have both the harpies roll an intimidation check.
Hey, don't we get 2 plus intimidation already?
Wait,
Just
what?
harpies?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
So what is
Wow.
19. I'm super intimidating.
I'm not. Because what's my intimidation?
I think it's governed by.
Well, she
charisma.
rolled in that. She
Charisma?
also rolled in that 1 though.
Yeah, natural 1 plus 6,
Doesn't
7.
matter.
All right, so as you look over to Val on your right, she's basically staring daggers at you,
I'm not trying to be intimidated anyways.
and she kind of like looks over at Celestia a little bit too. And you look over at Celestia, and she's yawning.
I move position and I put Celestia between me and Val.
Nice.
okay.
I'm probably
Picturing
just
this.
a bit behind. Just watching.
All right. Are you holding up okay? Is your character tired at all? Or?
She's fine.
She's fine. All right. Good job, Nick. All right, we're gonna bounce. We're gonna
Jumping
bounce
over
to
the grass
the hunter
sometimes.
real quick for a moment as you guys continue to follow, still gaining ground slowly. All right, so you've been following the Merlin girl for a while now, and you've been taking great care to make sure she doesn't see you, but she hasn't really made much of an attempt to look behind her. She's been staying pretty much looking forward, only stopped to rest once or twice. She's moving in a straight line. You're not seeing, drifting or any sort of, getting off course. She seems to have a pretty determined trajectory towards the column of smoke. You can still see getting a bit closer now.
I'm gonna let her get a little distance and see if I can't scare up some maybe partridge or plain hen. or-
Okay, so you want to roll a perception check?
Yep. 16 plus intellect, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 9 of 6 and 16. So
Okay. So
25, dang.
yeah.
Nice.
Solid. All right. You do see
Nail
a
it.
scrawny-looking kind of jackrabbit sitting. It looks, it's sitting in with its ears down and kind of trying to blend into the rock. But you notice the shape of it, and you notice a little bit of movement from its breathing, as if it had just been running. It's maybe 20 yards away, something like that. Do you want to try to?
20 yards? I think I can get within 10.
All right, go ahead and run a stealth check.
Because I have. Alright, 16 plus dexterity, so that's 26.
Nice.
Nice. All right,
Good
you get within 15 feet of the rabbit, kind of coming up behind it and staying out of the wind. And there's enough of a breeze that your footsteps are covered. So you're within 15 feet of the rabbit at this point. Do you want to try to do anything?
I'm going to try and get it with my bow.
Your bow?
Yep.
Okay. So we could do a combat encounter for that real quick if we want.
Why not?
Might as well get the practice in. So, what's your dexterity? Because I believe that's what governs the bow
That's
there.
10.
So go ahead and shuffle those.
Hey, Brendan, can I show them what you made?
Sure.
Okay, you guys want to see what Brendan made?
Sure.
He made Celestia.
That's cool.
That's what she looks like.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Your description.
And you can zoom into it.
Yeah, we sat down and modified it.
Yeah,
and shared
that
a
was
ton of
fun.
input on it and stuff.
That was really fun.
That's cool.
I'm gonna use it.
So if anybody else wants
Reference.
characters eventually, I can't be churning them out necessarily. But we've got the hunter and we've got Celestia.
That's cool.
We also have Minkid.
You do. Yes.
Yeah, right there.
Yes. But once I make a 3D model,
right in your
we can recompose them however we want, and we can do all kinds of crazy
That's
stuff.
cool.
So if we want more stuff. Okay, so
Alright,
all right. So what is your dexterity?
10.
10. Solid. So that means you get to draw 5 cards, blind of course, and then you can look at them once you've drawn them.
Okay.
The jackrabbit also has a dexterity of 10 normally. but it has no idea you're there, so it's only going to draw one combat card.
Fair enough.
And it's gonna slit your throat.
It will probably not fight back.
Man, the Outlands are so
I mean, you never know.
It turns
looks-
around, it has a breastplate on.
It looks, it looks like a little malnourished. It's, its fur's a little scrawny. It doesn't look great, but it definitely looks edible. It doesn't look sick.
Like, you really want to eat me?
Yeah.
Like, really, dude?
Food's food. I might be doing this.
I know.
Jack just trying to learn how to look not.
He's like, yeah, really? I'm super fat. Like, I'm super healthy.
Alright, so we just lay
So
down
at this point, discard down to one card. So you pick whichever card you want the most. So I don't know if you remember how well the combat works, but higher numbers are usually better, but you try to match suit of the ace that I'll put up. But it doesn't matter if the rabbit doesn't match suit either. It's whichever card is higher will win. Unless the ace is a wild card, which would be the skull. In which case, you would win by putting a skull down, no matter what the value is. So that all makes sense? More or less.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so you're discarding down to one card, so you'll have just the one card in your hand.
Okay.
This is not a complex combat encounter.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
So this is sort of the flow of combat, which is ace of spades.
Nice.
You got a two of spades, and it's got a two of spades. What are the odds of that?
What?
So he did fight back.
Okay, so you take the shot with your bow, and it clips one of the ears of the rabbit. Just kind of takes the ear off and kind of scratches the back of its head. You don't know if it hit it for sure. It's not a solid hit. You see the arrow kind of bounce off the ground. The rabbit starts to run, but it falls off of a cliff nearby as it does.
It's like,
Kind of tumbles, and it runs a little further distance, and then you see it kind of slow, and then it kind of lies down out in the field a little ways away.
Okay, if it's not dead, I'm gonna put it out of its misery.
It's not dead. It's sitting there like panting breath. It's got a good sized slice across the back of its neck. Is like the broadhead tip of your arrows kind of cut the back of it. It's just bleeding
imagine
pretty
its whole
heavily.
nose, just like,
It looks very stressed. The eyes are like wide open, and white. You're not necessarily happy with the shot.
Of which, yeah, okay, so I'm.
But
None
it's
of us
still
saw that.
in its eye. It would still take a minor wound,
Okay.
and the minor wound would be enough to take out a rabbit.
Okay.
So it just isn't pretty. And
Wait.
it didn't fight back, so no worries.
I'm sorry, little one.
If it had been a five of spades, who knows what would have happened.
it becomes like a ninja, and yeah, it does slit your throat. It's like, it just disappeared, and then it reappeared behind you. What?
All right, so you can put it out of its misery.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the devil's misery in. I'm sorry, little one who was bad shot.
So you have a knife or a sword or something, right?
Yeah, I got a sword.
All right.
I'll just kind of.
Stab it.
Yeah.
It's the
Take
meat's
its- take
the
its
meat's.
head off.
Let's go ahead and take that back and put that in your deck that you have there, just so we can
Okay.
keep these organized and ready to go for the next setup. Speaking of rabbits wanting to eat people, do you guys hear Weasley over on the other end?
What?
That that's him chewing on his cage because he wants to be fed. He has tons of food, but he wants treats.
I like it.
All right,
I
so-
get along with him very well.
I just hear Chris
So
Rock's
the animal was stressed. It's gonna dump some adrenaline into its meat. It's gonna be sour, but it's
It's not
meat.
gonna taste good.
Yeah.
You eat it right away.
No.
Okay.
No, not right away.
Okay.
And it gets like
just food. It's a meal.
all right.
Yeah.
So this whole thing's taken slightly longer than you would like. Let's go ahead and have you roll a perception check real quick.
Alright.
Oh.
One.
Okay. So you've got a decision to make. You realize you've lost track of the Merlin girl in the process. You can't see her. She's gone behind some bluff or something like that. And you know that it's been like probably 5-10 minutes because you took your time sneaking up on the rabbit, and then it ran a good 100 yards or so out into the field. So you can either recover your arrow and not have to lose some munitions, although I think we're not going to worry about that too much. I'll kind of try to keep track of it. Like, we might not give you the opportunity to recover munitions later. Actually, let's do it this way. You'll have to roll for your munitions,
Okay.
or you can choose to just recover it for sure. If you go look for your arrow, you'll find it. But then you might lose track of the Merlin girl. So,
I'll roll.
would you like to take a quick look for? Okay, so I think
Yeah.
it's on the bow. Let me look it up. Actually, I believe you can recover arrows on a. So it's a D6 roll.
Oh crap.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I can
You
give
use one of my
one.
D6 if you want.
He's like, that's the best.
And yours are so much better?
Maybe.
He pulls out a D6 and it's all sixes.
Yeah. All right.
It's all sixes and 1 7.
So I believe for a bow,
Okay.
you will recover on a 4, 5, or 6.
Okay.
So go ahead and roll it. I guess I don't need to roll. It's just
That's a 3.
it's a 3. Okay. So you take a quick look for your arrow, but can't find it in the amount of time that you want to spend looking for it. So you get back on the track. You get to some higher ground, which is actually maybe when you guys catch a glimpse of him. Is when he
Okay.
has to peek out on
There
top
he is.
of
You
one
see
of the
something?
hills.
Yeah, he's up
For
there.
a moment, you see
Up?
him. Yeah.
He's up on it. He's on a hill.
Oh.
He's up on the
Right.
He's up on a hill.
He stands for a
the
moment.
hill
He stands for a
there.
moment on the hill, and you kind of see his figure kind of like rise up a little bit.
About how
You
far
know.
away is he from us at this point?
At this point, you guys are like 3/4 of a mile.
Oh, okay. Pretty
You've
far.
actually made some progress on him, but you
Okay.
can kind of see him silhouetted against the sky for just a minute. You know, the wind kind of flapping in his overcoat, his tunic. Yes.
He's so cool.
That's what I was trying to bait out. But then he quickly disappears again. But as you're up on the hill, you caught sight of the Merlin girl again. So you're back on the trail of her. You kind of know the trajectory. You'll be able to find
It's
her
a follow
tracks.
triangle.
Yes.
I'll
It's a stocky triangle. I love triangle look creepy.
I'll kind of double my pace a little bit to catch a little bit more
All right.
distance.
The other thing you notice when you're up on top of this hill is there is a tower with a ruined top, and you can see it's kind of sitting on a cliff up above a valley that drops away steeply. You're also now able to hear a little bit of rushing of water ahead of you. So
Of which I
Can we hear it?
you guys aren't quite close enough.
Okay.
There's enough breeze out in the whatchamacallit, field. I don't know, that word wasn't coming
Plains.
to my head. You know, yeah.
Grassy
Yeah.
stuff.
Grass, floor with grass. Good DM description. It's like you guys feel really immersed
With some
right now.
grass on the ground, on the floor.
If I were to, kind of look up gut feeling about Tower.
You
maybe
want
a
to
little
do
bit of spiritualism, maybe just kind of like look at it. Maybe what do I get a feel from it?
what would we call it as a check?
Yeah,
I
I think that would be under.
I don't really have insight in the way that like normal.
Because you have intellect and
Let's go ahead and do an investigation check, so you
Yeah.
can kind of you can see the tower well enough, and instead you can kind of think about maybe what purpose it served at one time.
fair enough.
So that would be intellect.
Or if I'm maybe drawn toward it for some reason.
Yeah.
All right, that's a 3.
Plus
9.
9.
so you're looking at the tower, and it looks definitely of human make, perhaps human and stonekin in tandem. It doesn't have the motifs that some of the other races would bring. And in general, if you find large stone structures, it was either built by a stonekin or by humans. The other races aren't as into that. The Merling are into building things out of wood or carving into stone, using kind of some of the natural things around them. Druids don't live in houses. And, the Fae live in little hollows and hollowed out things. They make use of the resources around them. So it definitely looks human-built. It looks like it was some sort of signal or watchtower at some time, but it's difficult to tell the exact purpose of it because the top has been, crumbled off, basically. Perhaps took heavy damage from a storm, or it's hard to say what. There's not a clear, source of damage from this distance. Excuse me. Gingerbeard. Revenge of Gingerbeard.
Ginger beer revenge. I'm coming back to get you. You shouldn't have drank me.
Yeah. It's strong stuff, let me tell you. That ginger beer.
Oh, it's good.
It is
Maybe
good.
some water.
So there's nothing, particularly noteworthy about the tower, except that it's tall, seems to be well built, except for the top, which has been taken off and crumbled away from there.
Say, okay, I'm battling two things. You know, carry on after this person that could possibly need help. Indulge my curiosity. Because this, my character is a wanderer. And
Right.
something like that, that's interesting.
Well, I cannot influence your decision, so.
I'm gonna tell you what. I'll roll a d6. High, I go after Merlin. Low, I go after Tower.
Is this
because I'm curious.
is this the hunter or is
This
this
is-
Butch?
This is the hunter
Okay, all right.
because
That's an interesting insight.
that's part of his duality.
Okay, so maybe he's got like a little carved wooden dice that he carries.
Okay, well, maybe not. More like this is the decision I'm making for him
Alright.
using dice.
Sounds good. I just want to know if we've got a new character tick here.
No.
There's a little metagaming going on.
It has a 6. So high, I said go after Merlin. So he's going to continue on.
Okay.
Out of duty.
All right. Well, the Merlin is going places the tower doesn't appear to be yet.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
except for the top part, but
Yeah.
that was some time ago.
And
Alright,
he's
so
leaving it as a mental note.
you get back on the track for the Merlin. After short distance, you can really hear intense roaring of the what appears to be a river or rapids or a waterfall or something ahead of you. You just can't see it. You continue to follow the Merlin, and you see her kind of cresting one of these bluffs, and she gets to the top and stops. She doesn't sit down; she's still standing, but she stops, and you see her kind of lean forward and look a little bit, and then she sits down and she drinks the remainder of her water. Still kind of like she's not really head on a swivel or anything like that. Not really looking around much.
How far off am I?
I think you've been like trailing maybe like a quarter mile or something like that behind her. It's up to you. How far off are you?
I'll see if I can catch up.
Yeah. You gotta feed him something or he's gonna ruin our audio.
You can play music.
We could just feed him.
We should have some background music just
I
lightly
can fix them
going.
up if you guys want something.
It's like, what is that in the distance?
I
I
don't
hear
know,
a
like-
band.
I might I don't know. I might do that as like a thing later on, but.
But, I'll see if she's not moving, I'll see if I can catch up.
Okay, so you're gonna proceed towards her.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna bounce back to you guys real quick. You've seen the Merlin girl stop as well. You've also noticed the tower at this point.
Okay.
Let's. Yeah, we don't need to do a perception check. The tower, there's not really anything hidden. You can see that the door is closed, or there appears to be a door on it. It's still like maybe a mile from you, kind of a little bit north on a high bluff of where the hunter and the Merlin appear to be going. But you've noticed that the Merlin stopped. You have not seen the hunter yet.
Okay.
What would you guys like to do?
About how far away is the Merlin from us?
Let's say it's like a 3/4 of a mile,
Okay.
V between the tower. It's probably about equal distance to the tower and to the Merlin.
Should we pick up pace?
In which direction?
Toward the cool guy. That's what we're after, right?
Shock takes that.
Does he like spinach or?
Yeah, you can. There's a little. If you want to really make his day, Butch.
Yo.
He really likes those stuff.
Do I hear the water?
Oh, you went somewhere else.
We probably would by now.
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
he went that way. He
Okay.
went that way.
Let's go to the water. Maybe there'll be fish.
Ooh.
And I just pick up the pace and I start going that way.
Okay.
Oh, I follow.
As much as I like to go towards him, I don't know why Shakte would
We
go
don't
that
know.
way.
We don't know yet. Yeah.
I was trying to think of a reason why he would go to the tower, but
No.
if there's water, that's that direction.
Yeah, no, we are interested in the water. I'm like, DM's
I
gone.
think it's okay.
Yep.
Meet me there because you'll come across
Hey,
me.
everybody.
Maybe you guys go one
D&D
way,
Beyond.
he goes another. You guys come back and he's like, so I found this.
All right, sorry.
Sponsored
Had to
by-
feed the beast over there.
So I sped up and started going towards the water once I heard it, and towards the Merling,
Okay.
the she Merling.
All right.
Where is the water,
Hi.
like, in the tower?
It sounds like the water's directly in front of you. It's it's a loud sound. It's echoing off of other rocks and things. It's just that way. It's to the
Do
west,
we
which is
pass
the
the
direction
tower
you're going.
going to the
No, it's again. It's kind of like
It's north of us. Kind
yeah,
of
Water's
it's kind of north.
northwest.
Yeah, at a different trajectory.
Okay.
And you still can't see the water. You can just hear kind of where it is in general. But yeah, if you're looking towards the tower, it still sounds like there's water up that way, perhaps a river or something like that.
Yeah. So I'll just beeline towards the
right.
Merling.
You guys want to pick up your pace at all?
Yeah,
I
I'll
might
jog.
actually go towards the tower.
Okay.
I'll meet you guys at the water source. I'm a little curious about the tower too. Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and are you hurrying as well, or are you kind of?
I might go a little bit more leisurely stroll.
But still
you know,
okay. So
But
still walking and
yeah,
decided
still.
to fly or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm
The rest of
kind
you
of
guys
I'm kind of staying back a little bit and like kind of just like
decided yet?
I'm watching.
Okay.
I'm going in a direct. I'm kind of just going forward, but I'm watching.
All right, so Chakte is hurrying. So let's
Towards
go ahead and
Merlin.
roll. Let's roll a dexterity check.
I'll keep up with him.
Oh God. Sorry. It's okay.
17.
That's not bad. All right, so you start to hurry up and you stumble a little bit on the rougher terrain, and they're like, oh, I have to watch my feet. I rolled a 20, but
Nice.
but
I can roll down a hill. I'm fine with rolling down a hill.
I was like, if he rolls really low, then he's eating dirt. All right, does anybody want to hurry after him? Or
I'm
you guys?
keeping up with him.
Yeah.
All right, so
Minkit was
Minkit
hurrying
starts
up.
pumping her little legs. Let's go ahead and roll a dexterity check for you as well.
I just see the hat.
17. All right.
17 plus
Dexterity 9.
9, so 26.
She's quick on her feet, and she
She
actually
speeds past me.
She actually overtakes you.
And she's like,
and like the legs are pumping. They're
yeah.
You can't even see him moving. You're
Her
just like,
feet are actually like almost moving with a blur. It's pretty impressive.
how are you running like
All
that?
right, so Leslie, are you hurrying after them, or are you?
Huh?
Minkit, don't
I'm not
get too far
At
ahead.
this point,
At
they're
this
like, she's scurrying, he's jogging.
Okay, I'm gonna kind of keep up with them. I feel like they're my children.
All right, go ahead and roll dexterity check.
So I'm just like, oh gosh.
Bye, Mom.
5 plus 7. I was like,
All right, so pretty much the only way you'd be able to keep up with them without looking like you're hurrying
can I take up in flight?
is to use your wings.
Okay, I'm
Would
gonna
you
take
like
up
to
in
use your
flight.
wings?
Can I land in front of them?
Sure.
Okay, how do I do that?
Roll
do I
a
do?
dexterity check.
Okay,
So it's better than last
11 plus 17, 18.
That's good.
Ooh,
Okay, that's good.
that's
All right, so you
not bad.
and you kind of soar over the top of them, fairly low, a little obnoxiously low, and then land and kind of continue your somewhat hurried pace, but you've gotten like a good 100 feet ahead of them at this point, so it'll take them a minute to catch up to you. But as you take off, you notice that she's taken off, and you see them behind you at this point.
I'm not
Oh, me?
subtle. I'm
Yeah.
just having fun.
Or do I?
Or do I?
We're not trying to hide, so.
No,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
and they're not that far off. And,
I'm in the air.
You're pretty like aware of your surroundings, so that's definitely the impression I've gotten. Except that time they snuck up on you.
Yeah.
So
That they,
you
don't,
actually
they don't know.
you actually hear a
They
little
didn't
bit
know.
of a little bit of a behind you. They're now close enough that you're getting close. The Merlin sees the wings as well, and she stands up suddenly. At which point she also notices you. This is the first time she's really looked behind her.
How far off am I? You know, how much close I managed to
You're
get?
maybe like 100 feet away or something like that.
Okay, so close enough to be within distance.
Sprinting distance potentially, yeah. If you're feeling like sprinting.
I don't necessarily know if I need to. You know.
Yep,
but
to the challenge, but
I'm gonna say, seeing as she sees me, what does you see on the other side?
And she kind of like looks at you a little hesitantly. And she says, "What do you want from me?"
I have no want from you.
Why?
I just happen to be going the same way. You see the smoke the same as I do.
She looks over her shoulder at the smoke and she says, "I wasn't looking for the smoke. It was just something to set my eyes on. I get lost easily. I was looking for water." She looks down and she's like, "I think I found it."
Good, I have need in water as well.
Are you standing still or walking towards her at this point?
I'm still moving at a ponderous pace. I'm not going fast
Okay.
and trying to. I'm
Not
not trying
like,
to be
"I
like.
need water as well."
as non-combative as possible. You know, I got no hurry.
Okay.
I have rabbit. I now have enough
Delicious
food
rabbit.
for a little bit.
Yes. So the wind is kind of whipping her short, dark red hair. It's still like Merling hair. It's thick, and the light is catching in a little bit. And you can see her light-colored gray eyes. And she's kind of like looking at you. You see her shoulders relax a little bit. She was not startled, but maybe alarmed. And she looks back over the edge. You're now like 50 feet from her, so she says, "It's a long way down." Do you want to continue moving towards her, or what's kind of the?
I'll keep my distance because I see that she's a little
50
bit
feet is
under.
enough that, like,
Yeah.
you know, that's like if I get a lot closer than that, we're either having a conversation or you're trying to murder me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, close enough that I can leave her at the corner of my eye and not be worried about
Okay.
her closing distance too fast.
cool.
Yeah. Do I see a way, you know, kind of around and down, or is it just a?
You can see that there's an edge, and you can see opposite that it's much lower on the other side. There's some rocky bluffs, and kind of off to the south a little ways, there's some bluffs that are equally as high as the ones you're standing on, but it's almost like the river perhaps drops into a channel, but without going up to the edge, you can't see what the river's doing. But it does sound like whitewater rapids, or just a large volume of water, perhaps a high river, something along those lines.
Of which I'll say, tell you what, I will climb down and grab water if you will cook this, which is the rabbit.
You hold up the rabbit.
Yeah.
Okay. She goes, "I've only ever cooked fish, actually."
As long as it is not black, you are good.
And she looks at you again and she goes, "Do you have anything to start a fire?"
No.
And she like kind of like looks at, you know, she like pats herself down. She doesn't have that much stuff on her at this point. It's just her like streetwear, and you can tell she's got a small knife tucked into her belt. But you know, she's got an empty water skin sitting next to her, and she doesn't have any more food or anything at this point. So there's not much on her at this point. She goes, "I didn't think to take one either."
Tell you what, I'll help you start fire, and then I will go get water.
She kind of looks around again and looks down. She looks back at you, and you can see a little bit of that hint of desperation you saw in her eyes before when you had talked to her at the fireplace, or at the bonfire. And she says, "I feel like I'm drying out. I'm parched."
Well, there's plenty of water below. We can get you back to where you need to be.
She kind of looks at you again, and she goes, "Why are you being so kind to me?"
It depends on why you are here. For me, this is part of my redemption.
Cooking a rabbit.
Getting you water.
She goes, "Oh, I see. I think I can get my own water."
Be at your way. I can cook rabbit.
She looks up at the edge again. And she looks back at you and kind of looks down and then looks up again, and you can see that she's crying at this point.
There's your water.
You have water whistling you the whole time.
But it's salty. It's not the same. She's crying a little bit, just a little bit. Not like big, you know, tears coming down, but her eyes are wet, more so than a normal Merlin's eyes would look. But her skin does look dry. It does look parched.
Here's the thing. With this chance we get in exile, we have new chance to be new person. What happened before can change for the future.
She's starting to look pretty upset, breathing heavily. She goes, "I'm not afraid of the future. I'm afraid of the past. Do you have guilt for what you did?"
Very much.
She looks back over the edge. I can't shake this feeling that I was let off easily.
Maybe
Do you feel that way? Like you haven't done time for the crimes you committed?
living could be our time. Death is only easy way out.
She looks over the edge and she says, I don't think this jump will kill me. But I feel like I need to take the chance that it would. Is that crazy?
Well, I would say breaking leg not much fun. Did so when I was little.
And then she kind of gestures to you and kind of indicates a spot, not next to her, but a little ways up. She's like, give me your opinion.
She
looks over again. She's like, the drop?
Can I see over the edge at this point?
If you walk up to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll walk up to her, but I will be keeping my center of gravity a little bit lower. Because if there is push, I'm dropping ass.
So like, just a half diaper walk.
Yeah, half diaper. You know, I'm gonna try and.
I know what that looks like.
Yeah,
me too.
It's like how Atlas was walking earlier.
Because
Squatting.
to myself, I don't like heights.
Squatting down as low as he can get.
I'm gonna crawl.
She looks over at you and kind of wipes away one of the tears. She's like, I used to cliff dive, but I don't think I've ever jumped this. Certainly not into a river. You walk up to the edge and you look down and it's 200 feet. Or that's what it looks like to you. You're probably over-exaggerating the distance a bit, but you can see deep, very dark water down below. And then it's rushing over other areas where it looks like there may be rocks, but below is actually kind of an open pool. It looks jumpable, potentially, but it's a long distance. For sure. Not a short distance to drop. And you can see the river winds down and kind of cuts into a gorge even deeper than that, down the ways. And there's sections of rapids, but mostly it just looks like the river is running very swollen, very full. It's high. You can see places where there are trees, just the tips of trees coming out of the water. It's probably 20 feet higher than its normal running level, perhaps from snow runoff in the mountains, where it appears to be coming from the north.
Okay. So, I'm gonna look at her kind of like a sideways glance and say, okay, to be honest, heights never been my thing.
She looks at it
Second thing, I am from steppes. There's very little water.
She looks at it, she's like, it is quite a stream, isn't it?
Yes. Have you ever swam in tide that strong?
She kind of narrows her eyes a little. Says, I think I've seen riptides that I couldn't even hold a candle to. That's the proper human phrase.
Fair enough.
She looks back at you and says, I wish I could trust you. More so, I wish I could trust myself. I feel like I need a rebirth. Do you feel that way?
Yes, this is part of mine.
She looks at you. She says, if I jump, will it ruin that for you?
If you jump and it is your choice, I cannot stop you. But I must try.
She takes a couple steps back from you. What do you mean you must try?
Just that. You are a being. I am a man and a good man. And I must prove to others and myself that I am still that.
She looks back over the edge one more time. And she removes her outer clothing. So she still has her Merling underclothing on, which is it's like tight and very, like, what's the word? Like, quick drying clothing.
Like made of
Hugs her
bamboo?
body.
Is it like made of stretchy bamboo?
Kind of like fibrous. It's
Just
probably... It's different. It's
Makes
different
you-
than human underclothes, which would be like
You can
much
swim better.
like much more insulative and so on. It's like pretty streamlined.
Where are we through all of this?
You guys are like very close at this point.
Right.
You're maybe a quarter mile away, but the
Right.
running's
You're
not
like,
going well anymore.
I feel
Everybody's
like
a little
crap.
winded. But you're probably within shouting distance if
Okay.
you guys want to shout. Although the torrent below them is pretty loud.
She's stripping.
That's true. She is stripping.
Yeah, actually, she's next to you guys. You can see that. You can see that she's removing.
That'd be funny. You're running up and she's removing
pulling,
clothes.
you know, she's pulling
What?
her clothing over her head.
I kind of like slow down a little bit and look over at Minkit. Did you know? Actually, Merlings and humans can mate.
This makes me not
Maybe
going that much more awkward.
perhaps we should not interrupt.
Yeah,
Do you guys want to continue at your hurried pace, or
I stopped dead in my tracks.
as soon as the dress goes over her head, you're like, whoa! Hold up.
I'll slow down a little bit.
I'm gonna run up.
Yes.
Minka just keeps going.
Not even keeps going. She runs.
Okay, do a dexterity check. I'm not gonna make you do a dexterity check every time you run.
18 plus 9.
Okay.
Wow.
She's like darting over rocks, like jumping. At one point, she almost trips, but she just like tucks and rolls and just keeps going. She's you know pumping arms and just going. And at this point, the Merling girl kind of looks over and sees the party standing there. And she's got a little bit of distance between you and her.
I'm so serious.
And she doesn't really look embarrassed that she's taking her clothes off, but she also doesn't look like she's trying to be alluring or anything like that. You get more of a sense that for Merling, it's not a big deal. You don't really have experience with them, but it's just kind of like, it's very matter of fact how she's doing this. And then she grabs a fairly large rock and kind of ties her clothes around it. It's not a huge rock, but relatively heavy. And then she's kept the knife like tucked into the short skirt that she has for her underclothing. And then she heaves the rock over the side. And you watch it, you know, plummet down, and then it hits the pool, and there's a resounding clap as it hits the water. But there's a good-sized splash, ripples, and it looks like the water's very deep. And she looks back over at you, and she says, "Human, thank you for all you've said, but I have to do this. I hope it does not hurt your redemption." And then she kind of bows her head real quick and says, "May the dreamer be with you." You want to do anything?
I will say one last thing.
Okay.
It is your choice to do this, but when you hit that water, a best and worthy death is to choose to live.
She looks maybe a little bit quizzical, but looks down and nods. She's like, "I don't think I'll die. I don't know why. I don't think it's yet." And then she jumps off the side. She tucks her arms, jumps off, and just knifes right into the water.
Immediately, I just go up into
Okay,
the
so
air.
you fly straight up. Okay.
Am I up by
At this
where
point,
he's at?
you come basically screeching in, like a little dust cloud. And the hunter looks over at you, like he's seen you coming, but it's the speed at which you arrive.
Just like this huge plume of smoke coming up from, you know, like imagine Pokemon, right?
Yeah, it's still,
Like
you know, a
bunch
little
of
bit
smoke
like
behind you.
impressive, startling, hard to say really how to react to that.
Can I just like look over? Am I
But
up
he
by him now?
really hasn't. He kind of like glances at you real quick, but he's fixated on the water. So I'm not gonna make you roll a perception check. I don't think you need to.
You know what? I'm gonna roll a perception check on this little one though.
I wasn't stealthy at
So you
all.
want to take your eyes off of the water?
I'm for a second because I did look over.
Okay. Go ahead.
So,
and
I'm curious. Would I see the second knife still on her?
I gave it back to him.
I don't know that.
True.
That's an 18.
weren't here.
18 plus.
I'm running up, by the way, too. Because now I'm a
intellect.
little wary.
Okay.
So 18
A
plus.
little
Because he
behind
just
her,
caught.
'cause she's just-
she's way ahead of me, but now I'm a little worried because he just caused someone to go over the edge, and now
Right.
Minkit's right up
She's
there.
No!
She's like a robo hamster with promise of food
Yeah.
or something.
Can
Just
I, like,
tearing up.
just look over the edge.
Yeah, I'm starting to.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
like just. Did
Okay,
I see
so
her
you
jump?
you see that she only has one knife on her.
Okay. So I look at her, while still kind of trying to watch the water.
Okay, and this is all happening pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So I say, I see you give knife back. Or you hid it. But I will think that you gave knife back.
Alright.
Here, cook this up.
Here, cook.
You hold out the rabbit.
Here's the gift for making right choice, or at least I think it is right choice.
All right, should we make her do a willpower check? No, I'm kidding. what does Minkit do at this point?
She sees the rabbit. I'm like, did you kill that?
Yes, I just found it on side of path. Has been dead for days. Yes, I killed it.
All right, are you guys checking out the water or not?
Yeah, I'm still watching the water.
Okay, you're watching the water. All right, you see the flash of her red hair pop back out of the water, and she actually swims onto her back, rolls, dips underneath the water like an otter or a seal, kind of dipping through the water. She's kind of being carried by the current, but not that fast. It's sort of a still eddy, and then it becomes much more turbulent. She actually looks up as she's on her back, and she kind of holds one hand up like that, and then brings it back down and dives back under the water and swims downstream.
Did I see that too?
You saw it as well.
So she's like, goodbye, and leaves.
Something like that.
Oh.
So she's clearly alive and clearly enjoying being in the water. She disappears kind of as she goes down the gorge, dipping under the water, swimming underneath it for periods of time. But fairly quickly, you can't see her anymore.
Well, then that is her path.
I'll ask the hunter. What kind of foreplay is that?
I look at Minkit and just.
Do you want to do an intimidation check, or is it just a curmudgeonly?
Yeah, okay, a little bit of intimidation.
Okay.
Just
Go
a
ahead and roll a
sidelong,
willpower check.
sidelong glance of.
8 plus 5.
All right, what you got, Butch? That's your best.
9 plus what? Charisma?
Intimidation
Charisma.
is charisma.
Yeah, 5. So
14.
And you had 8 plus
14.
Yeah.
All right.
13 and 14. Wow.
So it's a good glare. It definitely sends the message that's not what this is about.
Can I run up right as that happens? Can I run up right
Yes, you
now?
run up right as that happens. So they're both staring at each other.
And I have gone up and then
and
landed right behind him.
Minkit kind of plants her feet and kind of puts her hands on her hips, kind of so I'll believe what I want to believe.
I am gonna will save not to kind of giggle a little bit. The tiniest.
We'll check. Go for
Yeah.
it.
4.
Plus 8. Yeah. How
You giggle. Just a little. It's not quite a giggle, but a little bit of a.
Yeah.
Almost like it could have been a hiccup, but one corner of your mouth went up.
Okay, that's fair.
Minkit is
All right.
pleased.
And at this point, Celestia, you also flew up into the air, but you weren't able to fly straight vertical enough,
Okay.
because you said you flew right up, right?
Yeah, I
Straight
just
up.
kind of went up to
Get air.
look so I could get
So
a.
you really couldn't see the bottom of the gorge.
Okay.
You'd have to be a little bit closer to it, or get very high,
Okay.
just for the view angle.
Okay.
But you can see that there's some walls on the other side and all that.
At this point, I'm a little bit more worried about these two going up to this guy because I don't know if he just pushed her off or convinced her to jump.
So you want to just
So-
glide? You want to take that vertical height that you had and just glide right down to him?
Yeah.
Sweet. Majestic. All right. So you kind of land maybe
Yeah.
behind Shakte a little bit. And what's Shakte
My
doing?
wings are kind
Yeah,
of
so I'm
rubbed
gonna run
behind
up,
them.
and I'm gonna pull. You can prevent me if you want, but I'm gonna pull Minkit behind me and glare at the hunter. What did you say to the she-merling? And what did you do to her?
I did nothing that was not her choice.
Why? Why did she jump off the edge? I'll take a look and see if I see her.
You can't see her. She's kind of gone down behind
That's
a
fair, yeah.
bend at this point. So
I'm very much on edge towards the hunter.
It's like,
So
why did you just talk to that person? They jumped over the edge.
My hand is on my dagger.
My
in
wings
my
are
belt.
up behind him.
Okay, so she saw everything, yeah?
do you wanna appeal to her?
No, I'll just say, Little one saw as much as she needed. You can ask her.
I don't take my eyes off the hunter, but Minkit, what did happen?
I do have my hand on my longsword,
She
just in
just-
case I do need to draw, because I don't trust everybody.
That's fair.
You guys still standing pretty close to the edge?
Yeah.
All right. So it's like from here maybe to there.
Okay.
So they're kind of at the edge and with the water behind them, and then we're facing them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like, you know, the hunter is standing there, water's off to his right shoulder, and to Shakte's left.
Gotcha.
Just a little ways. And it kind of like, just like, it's pretty sheer edge.
Okay.
Doesn't really round off that much. She had a pretty clean jump.
10.
It was a 10.
No splash. Just
For a Merling, it would be like a 6. For a human, it would be like a 12.
it's just like no splash.
Because I don't much like heights, I'm going to try and stealthily move away from the edge because I don't like the idea of having a fight.
Okay.
Right
so you,
on.
you sort of circle a little bit away from it.
Yeah. Now, granted,
Do you want to
he
maintain?
did just try and protect Minkit, so I'm not too worried
Right.
because
Yeah, what's your composure like at this point? I mean, you have your hand on your weapon; it's not drawn.
yeah,
Is it squared shoulders? Are you staying square to them? Are you relaxing a little bit? Any of that?
I'm staying square.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So, battle stance.
All right.
A little bit of a shuffle.
11, 13 plus dexterity, which is another 10, so 23.
Okay. So, as you step away from the edge, the height is just enough that you kind of check your path and you break eye contact for a second. But look back up. Do you guys do anything when you break eye contact?
I just keep moving, so I keep Minkit behind me for wherever.
Okay. You guys also
The
step
hunter's
away from
moving.
the edge a little bit, or I mean, what's Minkit doing at this point? He did
Yeah.
say the little one has seen as much as I have.
Yeah, I saw quite a lot, but she just stripped and jumped. I don't know. Willingly?
Why were you stalking after her?
That is
What's
my
purpose?
That is my business. It is not yours yet.
Well, it is my business if you are here and if you threaten us as well.
I have no threat for you.
You say that, and yet you offer no words of what your business is.
You have not proven yourself to be worthy yet.
No, I ask not to be worthy. I ask only for information.
I'm just kind
I
of
don't know what
letting
else
him talk because I'm kind of
Yeah.
impressed with him at this point. I was like,
Wings
I'm not
still out, kind of ready to do,
yeah, kind
do a
of just
fang?
a little bit, but I'm just
Okay.
like, I'm impressed. I'm like, do your thing. I haven't
so
seen this.
Okay, I will say. The only intention I had was to try and protect your kind.
Insight check.
We'll call that an investigation.
All right.
All right.
Oh dear. 14.
14. Okay.
Obviously, it's true, but
Yeah,
you tell me. You tell me whether I think that's true.
Trying to think. 'Cause we have very similar results. You don't feel like he's being suspicious, just maybe evasive.
Okay.
But you also feel like it's a slightly strange answer.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all the insight I can give on that. So.
What does he have of? Do I see that he has the Merling's sling and?
Roll a perception check.
I mean, if you can tell if it's in a backpack.
Is it in the backpack?
I wouldn't see it then.
Okay, then you would.
I'm not that perceptive.
It's not,
I rolled a 19 anyway. So.
Fair
I
enough.
have a ranged weapon. You know, I have my
Yes.
bow.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't know that you were necessarily keeping track of what.
I don't think
you had
I-
to start with.
I did talk to her
Sure.
back at the camp,
Yeah.
back at the fire, but yeah, I'm not the most.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm pretty intelligent, but
So I speak up and I just say, so you were trying to convince her otherwise? And she leaped on her own will?
If I,
Don't
how do
look
I
at me,
respond?
look at
How do I
her.
respond to that?
Pretty much.
are you make it? It's totally fine if you don't like. Are you staying like with me
Yeah.
in front of you, or are
Yeah.
you like
Yeah.
Getting around
I
or-
don't like heights either.
Okay.
So
So everybody's gonna back away from the edge a little
Yeah.
bit.
okay? Yeah.
Which is probably.
I don't care.
Yeah. Shit.
only time you'd be worried about heights is if you don't think you could spread your wings within them. So.
Yeah. That is your.
Harpies don't like holes.
That is the correct impression.
Okay. Should I roll an insight check?
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay. That was what? Intellect, you said?
Intellect, yeah.
Okay. Natural 1.
All right, you don't get this guy.
Okay.
Maybe it's the accent. Maybe it's,
What'd you say? I can't hear the water.
yeah. You're trying to read him, but he's, harpies aren't
Sorry, I'm just trying to
necessarily,
make a
like
theme,
the
but-
most like in tune with other people's
No.
emotions in the first place.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of stonewalling you.
Okay.
If you won't tell us of your intentions in your past, what do you plan to do in the future?
It will depend on if I deem you worthy.
Well, we have few enough numbers and we've seen bad enough creatures. What do you think, Celestia? Attempt to add another number?
That's up to him. Does he even want to be around us? He hasn't tried to stick around us at all.
I'm still kind of backing away. I will say, little one, would you like the rabbit? You did earn it, as far as I know.
No, keep it. But I would like your name.
I don't have a pencil.
You have not earned that much yet.
Oh!
Okay, so you've gone from cool guy to vague guy.
Saying that out loud?
Yeah.
Wow.
Would you like to join us?
Savage.
I will stay nearby. Maybe you will prove to.
Earn your name.
You will prove.
You guys.
Did
cool
you-
with that?
Did you see the tower in the distance? Have you by any chance explored it?
No,
I'm
not,
on my way there.
not as
She's probably already there. She's like, guys.
Actually, we'll
Yeah.
bounce you pretty quick here, just for a second.
Okay.
You've made it to the tower at this point.
Okay.
It's been a decent standoff. And,
Yeah.
you're very close at least, and you can see that there is a door, kind of a drawbridge. It's closed. The tower's about 200 feet tall, something like that. No, not 200 feet tall. Sorry, like 40 feet tall. It's on top of a
200
cliff that's maybe about 200 feet. So it's a good sized prominence. And from the base of the hill where you could access it, it's probably at 70-foot height, something like that. There's nothing particular about the tower that strikes you. Again, a couple little arrow slits near the opening, and then if you were to circle it, you'd see the window that you already know about. And again, the top is all crumbled. So at this point, what would you like to do? You can't walk up to the drawbridge itself because there is a gap there. You could fly across to it. Might not be anything to grab onto.
Well, how far is my trajectory straight up?
You can fly pretty high straight up,
Yeah.
300
Okay.
feet at least. So.
With that, I would probably attempt to maybe get on top of the
Okay,
tower.
you wanna
see
try to
if
get
I
on top
can
of the tower?
Sneak down
Let's
and
go ahead and do a dexterity check. Do it.
19.
19. All right. You kind of like shake your shoulders a little bit, and when it's like 2 gusts of your wings, and you're up at the top, like faster than you realize. You're kind of like a little bit impressed with yourself. Like, that feels good. I haven't been flying enough because you've been in custody for a while.
Yeah.
Your wings have been kind of bound, and you've not really been able to fly. And this is like the first time you feel like you've really, gotten a good flight off, not in a state of like stress or fear. And it feels really good. You get to the top, and it just feels nice. You settle up there, and you can see that the top is crumbled, but you land on a little bit of like some woodwork that's still left, and then stairs that lead down in. They're mostly broken apart, but not a problem for you to descend into if you wish to. The inside of the tower is dark, and you see a wood floor below you It appears to be maybe the second or third floor of the tower. And spiral
Oh,
stairs
good.
going down it. So we're gonna leave you there just for a second. I'm gonna
Alright.
bounce back to them real quick, just so we can get some resolution on this. Maybe.
Okay. All right. He's like, that's how I feel about this. Everybody's asking me questions I don't want to tell you. Actually,
It's just like the ice men coming.
Is that ice?
It is
that
ice.
he's getting?
Come on, ice.
Where do you get water?
All right, so I'm gonna bounce back to you guys real quick.
Yep.
Although he appears to have just run away.
I mean, it seems like
He's
par
giving
for
you
the
an
course.
icy stare. Right?
He's just kind of frozen right there.
I'll turn to Minkit. Minkit, what did he do? Why did the sea merling jump over the edge?
I don't know. I didn't overhear anything. And he's not telling us anything.
You guys haven't asked. I'm gonna interject real quick. Just because I feel like the characters would think of this. So I hope you don't mind. You haven't asked if she survived the fall or not.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
don't
haven't
know
seen
that.
it?
Your
Okay, yeah,
characters
we
don't
have-
know that.
Yeah.
Just gonna throw that in.
yeah. Yeah. And I'll look over the edge again. Did she make it?
Did I see?
You did.
Okay.
You saw her wave,
Yeah, she did.
or not really wave. She it's kind of like an out check.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Merlin, don't thumbs up, but it would be.
Yeah, she survived.
All right. Well, that's good.
Did you just take Butch's water?
That's not water.
Oh, God.
Is yours water? That's a shock.
yeah, I was like, damn it! I just took a swig of this fucking vodka. It's so good too. It's so delicious. You're like, fuck. Okay.
Nice. Oh yeah, we'll try it.
Tastes just like water.
No, it is good.
Yeah, it's like water flavored vodka or vodka flavored water. That was bad. That was just like
I was just like, wait, what's happening?
Give me a big V. Okay.
Just mark it for safety.
I'll bring over a special glass next time.
Do a perception check.
Well, I don't know why you were chasing after her, but there are enough terrible creatures around us to not make more enemies than we need to. So, well met, I guess, again.
Oh, what time of day is this?
It's about 4 o'clock now.
You know, sun's starting to droop a little bit.
Yeah. Again, it's I'd say it's like early spring right now.
Okay.
So
Perhaps we should
we've
go
got a
and
couple more hours a day.
explore this tower before we lose all of the light.
Do we see Val?
I don't know how far off we are.
You guys were pretty zoned in. Maybe Celestia saw her.
Yeah, if I look around now, would I would see her?
It was like a
somewhere?
brief moment.
Okay.
So
I'll just say that
we'll just-
like
we'll just say
our
you
other
guys-
harpy friend
we'll say you,
has already
you didn't
checked
say
it out.
But you just
We know she went that way.
made
Yeah.
pretty good progress.
Yeah,
I think she
Yeah.
said she was going to. I was like, I also don't want to lose track of our other harpies,
Yeah.
so we should probably go that way before anything bad happens.
Well,
There's nobody
because you
over
said
there.
you want to come with us.
Yep.
And I will say, she is no longer in need of me, so I will go with you.
Cool.
Good.
Oh, the stocking's
I
over.
kind of swallowed nervously.
Uh-oh.
I was hoping you were going to swing because I was going to run. The numbers are not in my favor at this point.
Fortunately, with a harpy around, the running would not be in your favor.
I will still try.
Hell, with Minkit around.
Start chewing on my.
Alright, Minkit. We're gonna have you do a scent perception check.
Okay. Natural 1.
I think the hunter farted.
Alright, so you you kind of sniff the air because there's been a change in the wind. And you notice
Somebody
this.
farted.
And you go, and you smell like just kind of a little bit of like a bad smell, not a good smell, like a little bit stinky, and you realize it's kind of like emanating from the hunter character. You look over at him, and and he looks back, kind of, you know, a little bit like what's the look about? Exactly like he's doing right now. And then you notice that it's the rabbit. Its bowels have actually started to empty because of the rigor mortis starting to set in. So there's like a little bit of just like a little rabbit poop that's like
And it's just like
Your rabbit is malfunctioning.
that thing's so
Embarrassing.
I should clean it. In which case I will.
You want to clean it here and now?
What I'm gonna do.
Can we go
You guys
clean it
wanna-
in the tower?
Yeah,
Let's go ahead.
Some shelter.
let's go
Guess
find
what?
some cover.
No, come with us.
I should get this done like now.
You should come with us because no one else is gonna
The
wait.
tower's close. Let's find some cover, and you can do it in there.
Can I roll an intimidation check and tell him to come with us?
Do it.
Can I?
He's too cool. Oh, maybe he's
19
not too cool for that.
plus
Wow, honey.
Charisma.
Willpower?
Charisma.
19 plus 6.
That's a 15.
All right. She gives you the
That-
harpy eye
the way it
lock,
went together. Just,
and then
You will come.
no, just that was funny. Just 19 plus 6, and he goes, "Oh, that's a 15." And it just like that how it lined up just cracked me up because I know he wasn't responding. He was reading his.
she's definitely serious, and you get that moment of like the eyes kind of locking. You turn,
Okay,
She's more intimidating than Shakti is.
after you.
Here we go.
all right. You continue to walk along, kind of like shake the rabbit a little bit, and keep going.
Rabbit get poop out.
All right, so we are going to bounce back to Val real quick.
Alright.
They are on their way, and at this point, because it was kind of an angle trajectory, like they don't have that far to go. Maybe a quarter mile. So they'll be there pretty soon.
Okay.
All right, so you're on the perhaps second or third floor of the tower. You don't know yet until you go down into it how tall the floors are.
Okay. So
And it's obvious that the spiral stairs continue down. The tower interior is pretty dark. There's not many windows in it. So it's mostly the light coming from above and a bit of the ambient coming in from the stairwell.
well, at this point, I'd probably draw my bow, knock an arrow,
Okay.
and start descending into the tower.
Okay. So you get to the second floor of the tower, and there's really nothing. So you go down from what was the third floor, and you get to the second floor, but you know you're not on the ground yet because it's still like supported rafters and things. There's some, again, just like broken bed frames up there. Looks like they've been rifled through for firewood. You see a little bit of this looks like maybe it was a living and eating area of the tower. You see some racks along the walls that look like they contained weapons at one time, but they've been stripped clean. There's some carvings into the sides of some of the racks. It looks like people carving initials or, sigils or other meaningful things. There's also some curse words and some inappropriate drawings as well. So, and the age of these appears to vary. Some look really old and kind of like molded over, and some seem to be a little more scratchy, a little fresher. But the tower has been picked very clean. Anything that's not bolted down has been pulled out. So at this point, if you want, you can go down to the ground floor.
Yes. Go down to the
All right.
ground floor there.
You go down to the ground floor, and you see a stone cannon, large stone cannon. He's kind of tucked himself underneath the.
His arms fell off.
Like by
She shot his
basically
arm off,
there's
too.
almost like an alcove where the gate
Oh,
the drawbridge sits, and he's kind of leaned in the corner there.
oh man.
And he's actually, I'm sorry, Nick, but we're gonna take all your food and water away.
Oh no. And my arms.
Wait, why is that?
He's been there for 3 days.
Oh, okay.
And nothing can live for 3 days without food.
Well, let's not take all
Or
of
is
it
it
away.
no
Let's-
water?
He's
let's
got
say
quite
we
a
can
bit of
live-
Live
stuff.
3 days without
Yeah,
water.
let's say he rationed a bit.
That's
So we're gonna leave him with.
I'm also gonna give you these guys.
I'm gonna leave you with
Need
2 water
I
and 1 food.
need that stuff now, and I
And
need
his fire?
some water and a leaf.
Just the one.
Oh,
We'll just say
yeah,
it's
give him
cauliflower.
Stone,
rice,
Stone are
okay?
hungry more than their
It's cauliflower
and
rice.
then that's all.
Which
that
is
was okay.
really good.
It's cauliflower rice.
My girlfriend loves cauliflower rice.
There you go.
Cauliflower.
good.
Have you ever had it?
I've had the
Oh,
cauliflower wings.
It's
That's it.
really good.
It's
It's
good.
surprisingly like cauliflower rice, but cauliflower mashed potatoes, which seems kind of weird, but it's really surprisingly
Well, it
good
takes on
and
flavor
creamy.
really well.
Really
Okay.
creamy.
Yeah.
If I
It's
meet,
almost tastes like grits,
Okay.
but I'd say better personally. I like.
if I meet vegetarian Stonekin, I will be looking at him with very much worry.
People say, how do you get as strong as an ox? And I say, do you ever see an ox eating meat? That's what I'd say.
I like it.
Because that's the truth. Unless you see a cannibal ox, run. Run your ass.
That would be terrifying.
It's like, moo, motherfucker. Okay.
Have you ever
All right.
heard story of Icarus?
Yeah.
Cannibal ox.
That sucks. Okay.
All right. So you see him sitting
It is
there.
the year of the ox.
Good.
Not yet.
He looks dazed.
Hopefully I become a cannibal.
There's
Hasn't changed yet.
a fair amount of blood on the floor.
It's like February.
Stonekin blood is almost more like a rusty
There's time.
orange color. Especially when it dries, it becomes almost more bright than when it comes out initially. So you can see it on the floor. It
Dries lighter.
It kind of is dragged across the floor in a big smear leading to an open hatch. And there's a hatch that's been basically broken in half. There's splinters. It's heavy timbers. And he's sitting there kind of with an axe pulled across his leg. And there's a couple of empty water sacks around him. You can see some like half-gnawed bones from pieces of meat. Just sitting in the corner, and he's kind of pulled some straw and stuff that was around himself and under himself. At this point, Nick, you kind of sense that somebody is in the room with you. Maybe it's a little bit of a change in the light. Val's been quiet, but you might have heard a little clack of the talons coming down the wooden stairs. Perhaps she didn't know there was anybody else in there. What do you do?
So
what do you guys do? I should say.
Well, I definitely am going to be prepared for a fight, so
You've got
Draw
your
my bow.
Okay, so you maybe half draw or something.
it's half draw.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of keep it steady.
I kind of come to.
Your wound. I'll give you just a little bit of insight here, Nick. Your wound has gotten worse.
It's like infected.
It's starting to become
Festering.
infected. It's swollen. You are really good at fixing machines, not so much organics. And it's been hurting you. You feel a little delirious. You're still like in your right mind, but you've been sitting because you still can't put weight on it. It's harder to put weight on it than it has been before. You slept for about 18 hours after tearing off the hatch. So you've been asleep half this time, or almost half this time. So yeah, that's kind of the condition you're in at the moment, just for insight.
So I come to, and I look at Val, and I have my hatchet drawn. I have my hatchet with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's across your legs.
And I grab onto it, and I look at you, and I ask, "Who are you? What do you want? Who are you?"
Who are you? What are you doing here? I was expecting this tower to be empty. What happened to you?
Some evil Merlin wench.
What's a Merlot juice?
But that's fine. He's a little
Sorry.
Yeah.
Some evil lady with legs, and she took my. I don't know. I'm out of it. I'm really out of it, and I basically just don't bother. Take if you're gonna kill me, might as well. I'm already half dead. I need help. If you can help me.
I'm imagining this
Kill
in
me
this
or
big
help
booming voice.
The hell. Yeah.
Val.
Well, if you're hurt, what happened? Like, where are you hurt?
Well,
He's crunching on like the last piece of a bone, just trying to get the marrow out of it.
my leg, and I roll over. And I just kind of like roll over. I'm like,
Do we hear the thud?
kind of like that. I kind of just like,
let's say you guys are close enough that you actually hear some shifting.
Yeah, I
inside
just
the
kinda
tower.
like
At this point,
shift.
You kind of like come up and you hear a little bit of like a kind of noise inside.
You guys
And
hear
then
that?
and then all of a
hear that
sudden,
and, like,
yeah,
speed up.
thud.
Toward it.
Because
Yeah,
I
I
fall
quick
over on my
pace
side
too,
to
for
show her
sure.
my wound, and I'm just like
Yep.
that.
All right, the wound looks bad. It's swollen. He's loosened the tourniquet somewhat. It's at least like closed, mostly, but it looks like it's oozing a little bit. And it's the skin is discolored around it. What color is your skin, Nick? If you want to describe, your character's appearance to that real quick.
At this point, you guys see a 9 foot, 9 foot tall, 585 pound. My eyes are completely white. My skin is like stone colored, like this, but darker, like a granite.
Like a granite kind of.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then I have like long brown hair from being basically like in prison and stuff because we're stonekin. I'm guessing our hair probably we can live a good amount of time, but I'm fairly young. But I've been locked up. I haven't taken care of my hair, so my hair is a little longer. And I have kind of a similar beard to what I have now, and I'm just like that big.
The hair is like thick strands, very kind of like almost like a little bit bristly, and then the weight of them kind of pull it down on the back. And then beard also is like, if you were to rub your hand on it, it would be like, ooh, it's it's
So I kind of just roll over and thud, and I'm just like that, like if you can help
And
me,
he's
help
like-
me.
he's
If
kind
you're
of-
gonna kill me, show me.
He's kind of
mercy.
like torn his pants open around it where the wound is, so from like mid thigh down to just below the knee, it's like kind of open, and yeah, it's he's removed the tourniquet, but it just looks bad. Looks pretty infected.
Val, are you okay?
Can I try? Are we at the tower now?
You're at the tower,
Well,
but there's like a 20-foot gap or so,
Yeah.
and then you have to drop down, and then you'd have another 20 feet to get up to
Yeah.
get to the drawbridge itself. It kind of comes out onto a little bit of a landing. As you guys were going up, I'll put this in for you, and you saw this as well, Val, when you flew. There's a broken stone bridge that looks like it once went across the ravine, kind of at an angle, like an angled bridge instead of a typical straight line, that kind of like arch down. But there's just the remnant of a pillar, kind of crumbled down below, and then you can see the landing on the other side. But there's a good like 200-foot gap in between where there's no stone of any kind.
Of the bridge, 200 feet. I was like thinking 20 feet. It's like, I could make that.
Yeah, it's about 200 feet.
Wow. Okay. So wait. So the tower.
So the tower sits. I will show you.
I like it.
Because I think you guys should be able to see all this stuff at this point, particularly like when Celestia flew up and all that. So
This is brought to you by Dwarven Forge. Brought to you by Dwarven Forge.
yeah, no, sorry, I'm not pulling out. I want to get your hooks up.
If I hear that, I'm not worried. I'd be more worried.
There's a stone kid in here. He's hilarious. Somebody help me.
No.
This is what happens when I walk away for her.
Is that a corgi?
Exactly.
Don't walk
That's a
away
corgi.
anymore.
It is a corgi.
What?
And
It is so cute.
Oh my god.
I love it. The name of their company is Mega Sploot.
Oh my god.
Make a sploot.
Oh,
The corgi.
so cute. I need a corgi so bad.
Corgis are the best. I want a corgi.
So
Yeah,
bad.
that might be our next.
Tell me where you
We
get
can
one.
find
What is that on the right screen, Brendan?
That's from beneath. Yeah, that's from the game.
Wow. I want to go there.
All right, this is not perfectly indicative of what's going on.
Many
because
glasses haven't come in yet.
I couldn't really indicate the elevation very well.
go over there.
Oh. What was that?
So we are. That's the tower on the
assuming.
You are standing right here. This is the remnants of the bridge going across here. But this is like
Okay.
this is a
Where
pretty
were
good deep gorge here.
Where were we with
So there's like a
Marley?
20-foot gap to get to the tower.
Yeah.
And the 200-foot gap on the bridge that's
Yeah.
broken and
And we're
collapsed.
already inside.
And you guys,
there's
you
like
know,
a moat around the entirety of the tower, or
you
just
guys
where
were
we are
kind of
currently.
you were kind of down in this area where it rises up a bit more, but not quite where it's like super cut super steeply down into the rocks.
Okay.
Sorry, what were you saying, Ben?
There's this moat looking.
It's
does it
not
look
really
like-
a moat.
Does it look like it goes around the whole?
Imagine it more like the tower's sitting on a little rocky hill,
Okay.
and then there's like a dip, and then there's another little bit of a hill that rises up, and then there's like a little bit of stonework that leads up. from
Oh,
that.
so I could just walk down and go up.
Yeah, you could walk down, but you can't get up to the bottom of the door.
Okay. Because
It's
like
not
this cliff.
it's not really
Wait,
a
where
proper
are we
moat, but
coming
it's kind of
from?
got extra height because
Where
of
are
that.
we right now?
We're like over here, but again, the specifics of it don't matter that much.
Okay. Got it.
So it's,
Well, yeah, I yell. Val, are you in there, Val?
Well,
Kind of hoping that she's not because she's intimidating.
don't jump out or anything.
Just let us know. Just get the hell
All
out
right,
there.
so you hear that?
yeah.
Wow, are you in there?
All right. Well, Stone Kid, you're obviously not a threat. I'm actually going to see if I can get you some help. So
Sorry.
hold on one second.
Oh.
Can I see them from that window?
You could go over to the window that's open. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
You could kind of at least you could shout out. You might not be able to see where they're standing because it's kind of around the side a little bit, but you can respond to them.
Like, hey, does anybody know any little bit of healing magic, at least enough to save a Stone Kid from dying?
A what?
A Stone Kid.
Shakte raises his
That's
hand.
not ripped in half?
He raises his hand, but she can't see him.
Yeah.
Is there a ledge on the? So it's 20 feet, and then there's a ledge before the door. Yeah. Or is it just?
I mean, basically, with the door closed, there would be no easy way to get in.
Okay.
Through that approach,
How solid does the wood look?
solid. We're
Okay.
talking at least 8-inch thick timbers. So.
Okay, but
I mean, it's worn a bit, but yes.
but there's a ledge before the door. How big?
There really isn't. It's like
Oh,
a
there
neck
isn't.
with a lip, like a somebody with strong fingers could kind of pull themselves up onto it, but you couldn't really stand.
Couldn't
on it.
open the door.
No.
Okay.
It's-
Never
it's-
mind.
the,
awesome.
the door very obviously looks like it's not designed to be open from the outside.
Yeah. Alright.
Are you hurt? Do you need healing?
No, it's not me.
I don't have any of my gear, but
Just-
I still remember.
I recall.
It's not for me. It's for a Stone Kid. How good is your Stone Kid anatomy?
Why is she talking about Stonekin?
What the hell is
Does
this?
she wanna go
Are you
back?
guys
There must be a
still standing
strong
front of
kid
the door
in
while she's
there.
yelling around the side.
Probably.
Can we go inside?
You can't go inside yet. I mean, you could fly up to the top if you'd like.
Yeah, but us with our bipedal would have a hard time getting to the door. There's no place.
How
to
hard
get to
did you
the
say
door.
it looks like to go down and then up? I guess there'd be no way to really to enter the tower, though, as far as I can tell.
I mean, you could walk up to the base where the tower sits.
Yeah.
But you could probably scramble up with a dexterity check to the door itself. But
Can you open the big door?
Probably not, but I could probably lower you a rope. Your rope.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
Was it?
You all see him get kind of nervous.
Yeah, she stole it.
the rest of the party at this point didn't know.
Well, that's good. You stole it, I guess. Good thing.
Does your character Nick have anything to say about this?
Good thing you stole his rope. Just make something happen. Hurry. That's all I can say. Is I like time's against me. Okay, so make something happen if you can. Help me.
All right.
Oh.
I look over at the hunter? Do you see any other way in? I don't really like being on the end of ropes held by harpies.
Yeah, it's not very fun.
It's just some scary-ish. That is 19.
All right. So you kind of like look around the side of the structure real quick. You don't do a full circle of it because that would take a minute. And one side is kind of up against the ravine. It would be rough terrain, not a sheer drop, but rough terrain to get around. So you look around and you kind of look back, and shake your head. There doesn't appear to be an easy way in. Besides the main door, again, it looks like it was designed to be defensible.
You don't like to be on rope.
I don't know.
I don't like heights. But I'll go.
Can I do? Is there any way that I can like fly up and see anything? I mean, I don't know.
You can fly to the top, sure.
Yeah, I'm
All
gonna
right.
just fly to the
Well,
top.
when you get in, if you don't mind holding the rope, I'll come in.
We'll see what I can
Celestia.
do.
Yes.
You can bring me up with you if you're careful.
Can I carry her on my own?
It would be a harder check.
A what?
It'll be a harder check.
Okay. So should we try it? Just like hold you. Do I need my arms to fly? Balance?
No. No.
Okay.
It's you have 6 limbs technically.
Okay.
I'm light.
I mean, are you
Light
comfortable
thoughts.
being carried 40 feet in the air with her?
She told
arms
me.
around
It
you?
sounds like they
Okay.
need help. So let's get in there.
Okay.
All right. So let's go ahead and have you roll a dexterity check.
Okay.
That was real
14.
close to being a natural one.
14.
14 plus.
Oh well, that's 7 plus 7.
Oh, okay.
14.
All right. So you start to fly up, and that initial downdraft of you taking off with your wings and kind of springing off with your legs, Minkit like slips so that she's just being held like underneath her armpits. Go ahead and let's do a willpower check real quick.
It's a 6 plus 5, and then I have the +2 that you gave me.
Oh yeah,
All right. That's true. That's still going.
benediction.
You like dig your nails into her arms a little bit, like not enough to make her drop you, but like definitely. Like,
I hold closer.
but you managed to make it to the top without.
Okay. Okay.
But she like kind of jumps out of your arms pretty quick. Like, put me down.
I don't want to do this anymore.
And you're now at the top. Do either of you have your rope on you?
I
Well,
don't
this
have
one
I
a
don't have
rope.
rope.
I have the rope.
Okay.
I could.
Who had the
climb back up
extra
to the
rope?
top of the tower.
She has a
Aren't you at the top?
Did she have the extra rope when
I
it
have
went
the
down?
other rope.
We
I
have
have
two
the other rope.
ropes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have the rope. It's just a bunch of ropes tied
Right.
to each other.
That's right, because you
I
Damn.
collected all the hands.
hands.
Yeah.
Yep.
If
I was
if
gonna
you
say,
brought
keep her
up
the
that
rope.
Clever.
I would
All
go,
right. So
This is the rope I need to climb.
There's lots of knots on it. It makes it easier.
Internal
So-
screaming in Slavic.
Val and Nick's character, you hear on the top of the tower and a little bit of a put me down. All right, and then you two gonna head into the tower.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna venture in. I'm gonna kind of just trust the harpy at this point.
All right. Yeah, it sounded like she was on the ground floor when she was talking.
Yeah, so we're just gonna kind of.
So you guys
Val?
drop down and you come up behind Val, and you want to like look back up the stairs to them and just kind of acknowledge that they're there.
You brought the Fae. I needed the Merling.
I can carry the Merlin. I could barely carry the
Here,
Fae.
let me hold the rope. I like hold the rope out the window. Okay, ready.
The window's barred. You have to run back to the top of the tower. They'll have to climb up to where it crumbles, which is about at least
Okay.
30, 40 feet.
Okay, that's fine. I'll do that.
Are you cool with giving her your rope?
Is she cute?
I might
She like
follow
holds out her hand.
I'll give
for
it
the
back
rope.
to you.
Right.
Let me
I'm
just
gonna
hold it.
follow you
Okay.
with my.
I think she needs your muscles too. So
All right.
Yeah.
Do you stay on the ground floor, Celestia?
have I seen the Stonekin yet?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna come over by the Stonekin, just kind of kneel, kind of far away, but just kind of like on the side where he's injured, just like kind of scanning him.
Nick, any reaction from your character on that?
I just look at her because I'm
Another
weak.
one.
I just look at her, kind of like when you're about when you feel so sick, like you're about to vomit, and you literally the only thing you can do is just lay there and look at stuff, and like you're like, I'm gonna throw up if I move. That's kind of what it was like. Like
Alright.
that's how it is. If
I'm
I
not even
move,
gonna
I
ask
feel
any
I'll die.
questions
Like
yet,
I'm
'cause
just
I
I
know-
can't talk. I'm like
Yeah.
I'm just out of it. I need help. I need
Another
help.
questions.
Help me!
Questions
You can
will be
actually-
too much.
You can actually see some like mineralization on his skin from him sweating.
Okay.
It like kind of it turns into like a calcium deposit, so it's like a little white powder like, on his brow.
I have mineral water
his
in
arms
me.
and stuff. Instead of like
Flowing
sweat
through the
stains,
rocks.
you know, and like his clothing looks like it's a little stiff from the dry.
Just gonna look at him and be like, I think there's some hope. Hold on.
Oh.
All right, so you guys trot back up to the top of the tower with your rope. Now what? You're gonna sling it down?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Minkit
hold
is
on.
holding
Oh.
the end of it.
I'm holding on.
All right,
I'm
you guys
gonna.
want to tie it off to anything?
I'm gonna hold on to
I
it.
love
I'm
your
gonna ask
earrings,
her
by the way. I
to.
just noticed.
In fact, does it hit the ground yet?
Yes, it's
Please tie it off.
it's plenty long enough. The rope's
Is
about
there
100 feet
anything
long.
to tie it
And the
onto?
tower's about 40. So.
Is there anything to
Yeah,
do?
there's some exposed beams that look pretty solid that go like into keyholes built into the stone.
Okay.
So you could link it around
Like,
that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right, let's go ahead and do a dexterity check
I will-
on the knot that you tie.
5 plus 9.
Okay,
14.
14. All right.
Seems super safe.
I rolled a 20, but there's not really anything working against you with the knot. So maybe we'll just say the rope's a little frustrating to tie the knot and it takes
Or maybe Shakti is going to go for a ride.
As far as, okay, we'll put it this way. As far as you know, the knot looks pretty solid.
Have the hunter go first.
I wasn't about to let him go first. Even though I don't like the idea of
All right,
climbing 40
so-
feet in the air with a rope.
40-foot vertical climb on the rope's not like an easy feat. If you guys want to make an easier DC check, you can leave your equipment and your extra food on the ground.
Okay.
I'm taking my stuff with me.
Then let's go. Are you heading up first?
Yeah, I'm heading up first.
All right. Any last words to the? Or should I say, what could go wrong?
I don't have any last words. I just say, I go first.
Oh, okay.
You just give the
All
rope
right.
a tug, and it feels like it locks up pretty good. So you're
Yeah.
like, okay, it's not just being held by a fae that weighs. What do you weigh? Like
46 pounds.
yeah.
You're like 3 of her. Like, okay.
Like you're packing your gear weighs almost that much.
I'll definitely be testing my weight on it before I actually
Okay, so
leave
you
the
test
ground
your
too
weight
far. Yeah.
Cool. It feels solid enough. Let's go ahead and do a dexterity check.
All right.
Ah!
13.
13? Okay,
13.
13 total.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. It's
Never mind.
it's a bit awkward, and you start pulling on the rope, and you're pulling yourself up, and then you stop for a breath and kind of like maybe like grab a little bit of a ledge of the thing too, and you look down and you've hardly made any progress. But it still feels high. You're maybe 20 feet off the ground at this point.
Just like, damn.
I'm going to roll a willpower because I don't like heights.
All right, go ahead and roll a willpower check.
Okay, 8 plus 15.
Okay, 15.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to get out of the way.
That's not how you reacted before.
22. 22. It's 22 total.
Okay,
Yeah.
22 total. All right. Yeah, I guess that's what I needed. All right, so, it's like 2 deep breaths. Like, okay, I'm still on this rope. I can do the rest. So you continue climbing. You get to about 20 feet from the top, and you can, if you guys want to like hang over the edge or anything, you can like look at them.
Hurry
My
up!
character's just done for.
All right, let's do a strength check.
I'm just like, okay.
You figured out how to climb the rope, okay?
Can
You've got,
I-
like,
can
that
I-
process where you wrap your legs, and go, and then keep going.
Can I give the Stonekins some food?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some food.
Nom, nom, nom.
Do you eat it right away?
Yes,
Okay.
because I'm
Go ahead.
starving.
How
Nom,
about
nom, nom.
count
Just to give us
And-
something to think
well,
about differently.
And at the same
So
time,
I'll take that from you if you're eating it right away.
that was a fail. And then I also drink some
Or did I
water.
steal one of yours? No.
Wait,
No.
is it water or food? They both do the same thing.
You just need certain amounts at day's end. So you're fed at this point. Like you're not starving. You're just really weak and delirious.
But I also need water to replenish my liquids. So
We don't need to do that until then. Like,
Yeah, we can do it at
Well, I
day
just
two.
ate something though. That's one
Well,
thing. I
that's
wash
not
it down with something.
it's-
Well, he can drink it
You
now. I'll just
can.
try to remember that you need less water at day's end. So
Okay.
we're actually coming up to
Cool.
finish.
That works.
Okay, so strength check, Butch.
Nice.
That is
Nice.
26.
Natural 20.
Natural 20
All right.
is the most important thing.
So you just kind of and like turn on the heat and hand over hand the last 20 feet because at this point you don't want to be on the rope anymore. You can literally see like the biceps and the back, the shoulders kind of like pumping up. He's got some strength. And he clambers over the top, a little unsteadily, kind of like still like holding on to the rail, and just like a. But you got all your gear up with you. So at this point,
Finally.
it's just.
Wait, wait,
I like look at my
Okay,
back
you know-
to see if I have muscles like you.
Oh, yes, what?
Before that, I kind of roll over the edge and I pull my backpack off and hand this off, which is what a
Oh
health
yes,
or
that's the
something.
medical supplies that you found.
Ooh.
Okay,
Nice.
so who do you hand it to?
Whoever was gonna run down and pay.
I'm not stealing it from you this time, I promise.
Like you stole the rope?
All right, cool. And then do you want to stay at the top of the tower? Or?
I'm gonna just kind of lean up against the wall.
All right.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a trial for you. Okay, and then Val, do you want to run back downstairs with the
Yeah,
supplies?
right back downstairs.
I'll follow her.
I'll give that to you for the
Okay,
time
you follow her
being.
too. All right.
Until the Merlin gets up here, and he actually is the one that knows.
She
what
gave
to
me an
do.
X.
All right. So as you kind of check your shoulders, Jack, you notice that they're definitely not as big as the humans. You know? he's significantly.
I take off all my gear.
But
I
you know,
stack
they're
it.
they're still like wiry. You're kind of like, oh, I haven't lost it completely. You know, you get that kind of feeling. But
But yeah, I
Take off
leave
your gear.
everything behind except I'll even take most of my clothes off except for the underclothes I was wearing before.
That's
I'll bring the rags. I'll bring the cloth and the rags.
I will say that your streetwear won't over encumber you. It's because it's being worn. And it's
I
not
figure.
armor or anything, but yeah.
I'll still sit down in the clothes.
Merlin just
He's
likes
worried.
to be naked.
He's worried.
Yes.
I'll take my knife in case I
Every
need
bit.
it. Yeah.
All right. So you keep your knife.
Everything
with
else I'll
you.
leave.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
just knife.
So if you want to
and
just like
rags.
put your knife on your character sheet,
Sure.
I don't think it'll make a huge difference.
I'll remember what I have, but,
But
yeah.
never know.
That's true.
This
Yeah,
is all
and then
learning
I'll start to
experience, right? Okay, start to climb. So let's go ahead and do a dexterity check.
18.
18. Okay, that's decent. So it's not really your area of expertise climbing per se, but
It's like swimming through the air.
the
Just keep
yeah exactly.
What
the
do
fact,
we do? We swim.
yeah,
fall.
the fact that you're not encumbered at all, is definitely helping just with the exertion and with the confidence and the balance. So you get the hang of you kind of like are using your feet to climb up and then your arms to take the rope itself. But kind of using the little bit of a slope to the tower to your advantage.
Remembering that he's climbing up my maybe unsecure rope, I'll run back up the tower.
Okay.
Just
so
watch.
back up. All right. So you've gotten, or Val has medical supplies. We'll just get him to the top of the tower, or see what happens there, and then we can get everybody in the same room.
Yeah. As soon as I'm up, I'll go down to try to find
cool.
this
All right.
stonekin.
Let's just do. You get to close towards the top. You're not afraid of heights, correct? That's not. A character
No,
flaw
not
per
really.
se.
No.
Okay. And again, like Merlin would like cliff dive and stuff, but not necessarily
Yeah.
freaked out by voids and stuff, unless it's like a character.
Yeah. I'm afraid of a lot of things, but mostly I'm afraid of like monsters and stuff. Less so.
Okay,
the
cool.
environment.
Just wanted to double check.
Yeah.
So let's just do a strength check again when you're near the top of the tower.
21.
All right, cool. I think I rolled nat ones on both yours and the hunter's
Nice.
Wow.
strength checks. I was like, I guess it's not that hard. I kind of thought it would be hard. I don't think I could climb a 40-foot rope very easily.
Smell like coffee.
What?
Farted.
It's the rabbit, guys.
Wow.
Witchy rabbit. All right, so you clamber up to the top, kind of like, whew, that wasn't too bad.
I pat him on the back.
All right,
Good
yeah,
job.
so you come back up.
Thank you.
All right, you guys want to leave your rope secured, and you want to pull it back up to the top of this corner.
I will take my rope back.
All right.
Take his rope back.
Did you hand off the medical supplies, or have you run back
Yeah.
up to the top to get the rope? 'Cause you
Oh, yeah.
as far as I know, you ran back down to the ground.
Yeah, I ran back down to the ground floor, gave him the medical supplies. Hang
Okay.
on to this for the moment. And then, run back up top and secure my rope again.
Okay.
What is in the medical
That I
supplies?
rightfully
So the medical
stole.
supplies, it's like
There is some hot sauce.
So the medical supplies, it's nothing particularly fancy. It looks like it's some fairly clean bindings and a tiny vial of what looks to be alcohol.
Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of like, because she hands it to him, and I just kind of lean forward because he's like doesn't really have a lot of motion. So I grab it from me, but I just kind of start unfolding.
Seeing
it.
what you have.
taking it out and kind of just like taking inventory.
All right. So at this point, I think everybody's at the top. Oh, you said you head down right away.
Yeah.
So
I'll head down
you
right
come
away.
down. You see the Stonekin. You see Celestia. Kind of.
Oh.
You're like next to him, right? At this point, pretty much.
Yeah, no, I'm
Okay,
I'm right next to him.
right.
I realize that he's not gonna
Yeah.
attack me or anything.
Yeah.
So I'm just going.
He
for
still
all
has
this.
his axe kind of lying across his back. He looks very out.
I'm like
I hold-
I'm like
I-
crouching.
Grab his leg gently and look at it. Who
And
shot
I
you?
wince. Oh.
And you all notice that I instantly recognize it as a bullet wound, meaning I've seen many bullet wounds.
But it looks
says two.
strange. the entry wound is not strange. There are 2 exit wounds.
Yeah.
Oh.
Who shot you?
Woman.
With legs.
I look around.
This dryad.
You
Well,
look
now I've had some food,
I look
so now
around
I'm a
to see
little
if
more
there's
into
anything.
it.
Okay.
Now I've had some food, so I'm a little more with it. And I'm like, oh, this woman, she was a dryad, and she led me here, and she betrayed me. I didn't even know her. I just thought I could trust her. It's
Well, then
It's
we
a
must
mess.
keep a lookout for this woman.
So you look and you see the open hatch, but there's no other way out of the ground floor except for that torn off hatch.
Okay.
And then the main door, of course, which is
Yep.
still in its upright position with
She
the
went-
chains wound around the windlass.
Oh, okay, so it can be lowered.
Yes. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. I look angrily at Val.
As you notice the windlass.
Okay, at this
I
point,
didn't know it could be open.
Does it look like there's 2 exit wounds, so it doesn't look like there's any lead still in his leg?
No, it looks like 2 clean exit
Okay.
wounds.
Went
Well,
straight through.
they were clean originally.
They're not clean anymore. Yeah.
But they've gotten
Now the nasty.
Okay. Well, I'll use. I
I
did bring
was
water
gonna
with
I was
me.
gonna interject something real quick.
Yeah.
Celestia, go ahead and roll a this investigation into him saying he was shot by a dryad.
Okay. And so that's intellect.
Intellect.
Okay.
And I just like
He also said he was shot by a Merling at one
And
point.
I'm going to give you
6
advantage
plus
on this.
7.
I'm not going to tell everybody else why I'm going to give you advantage on it. But I'm going to give you.
I was a little out
so
of
if you
it.
Yeah.
want to reroll your dice,
And
Okay.
yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
As well, yeah.
Okay. 14 plus
Much
7.
better.
Much
All right.
better.
that strikes
21.
you very odd that he would have been shot by the dryad.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Because dryads are afraid of fire.
Yeah.
Why would this dryad have a fire gun?
Do I say something?
It's up to you.
It's up to you, yeah.
You said it was a dryad with a rifle?
Yes, a long rifle.
Shakti, that's not normal.
No, I
I've
didn't
never
think it to be
seen-
normal either.
I've never seen a dryad
No.
use a firearm.
No, they stay
They
away from
normally don't like either end of those.
them. They're flammable.
All right. So you guys want to come down from the top of the tower, or
okay,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna labor my way down,
All right.
and then I'm gonna make an observation check.
Okay.
Looking for the door.
At the ground floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I've done my deed by.
Correct.
Intellect plus 2, so 9, 11.
11? Okay. So you see kind of everything that everybody else has already seen in there. You see the windlass for the door. You see the torn off hatch in the floor. You notice the one larger window with the barred grate in it, and then the 2 firing slits opening onto the where the door would be. But you don't really notice anything extra or additional. So you kind of seen what everybody else has seen up to this point.
Can I try and open the door?
Yeah, you can
Find
go
a
over
way
the
to open
windlass.
it. Yeah.
Go ahead and do a strength check.
9.
9? Okay. So you're still pretty tired from your climb.
I'm just gonna.
Especially with all your equipment. So you kind of crank on it.
I was
and
just
your muscles,
testing it.
Your muscles like shake just a little bit, but you feel it move a little bit as you push into it with your weight.
I'm gonna try and like enough to the point where I'm like not gonna poop myself, but there'll be a little bit of a grunt.
Pull a rabbit.
There'll be some herniation.
All right, so the door makes an audible like kind of noise, and we hear a little bit of almost simultaneously a little bit of from the hunter.
And then I'm gonna sit down.
And then he sits down.
He sits down.
Okay.
Okay. On looking at the wound on this stonekin, he does he have anything covering the wound? Rags or anything? Or?
He's taken like the remnants of the woven cloth for the tourniquet, and he's like more lightly tied them around the wound, probably to stop some.
Okay.
It's obviously
reoccurring
pussed
bleeding,
up.
but
and-
he didn't want to leave the tourniquet on
Yeah.
and like lose his leg. So
Okay. So I'll take the medical supplies that he's holding,
okay,
and I'll do the best I can. Technically, you need 2 medical supplies to
Technically,
do battlefield
but-
surgery.
let's say you're trying to not remove the major wound, but you're trying to stabilize it.
Sure.
We can go for that.
Can I
Sure.
lean in? Like, is he gonna be okay?
Remember if you have to do. I think he has to do a
I
willpower
think so.
check.
Yes. You're gonna be just fine.
I'm doing.
I think he's gonna be okay.
I'm
Do you want to do a? What would that be? A bluff, I guess. Or,
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll do a deception.
yeah, deception. Thank you.
11.
Okay. And then if you want to do perception, Nick, I don't know if you care. You could also just say your character's like whatever.
7.
7 plus your intellect.
It's 14. So he would have heard me be
So-
a little less sure.
Yes, he
How long
he's not,
ago?
he's not under any illusions that he's pretty badly hurt.
How long ago did this happen?
3 days approximately. I think I lost count, but
Ooh, man.
it hasn't been easy, and I was just accepting my
Medicine.
fate, waiting to die,
No, it's a good
or
thing
the
you came along
crows
there,
to come along, or the wretched, or whatever
It is a good thing.
horrible beast is out here in the outlands. That
Have you
Wait,
been
what?
hearing
What
anything?
What do you mean, horrible beast?
Well, there's
This changes.
Have you been hearing? I was just gonna ask. Have you been hearing anything? What's
well, there's
happening?
tales from where I come from.
Well, you also heard it.
What?
Like
Heard
sitting
it.
crossed
I didn't hear anything.
on the
You
ground
did.
looking
I didn't hear
situational.
anything.
So-
You saw.
You saw it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at the
but-
beginning. Yeah,
Yeah,
You
but
heard
that's
it.
Whatever.
It's up to him whether.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's
And he's kind
six,
of foggy too.
Yeah.
6 of one, half dozen another. Anyway, help
I'm very
me, and we
nervous
can
now
talk
about the
more
monsters,
once
but
I
I'm
get
going
rest.
to resume
and
attempting
heal.
to stabilize him.
Just
All right, so
keep me alive.
It's going to be.
I gotta get some water.
Probably a medicine.
Shoot!
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
gonna
know
be
why
a
it's
medicine
doing
check.
that.
Here, I'll get you some water.
And
Yeah,
like
you
I said, this will be for not removing his major wound, which would be your battle
need
surgery skill.
No, I'm good.
Um,
something? You need something? honey?
But it would
You
be
need
for
No, just come.
Stopping the infection and
basically
everything else.
stabilizing it, cleaning
Yeah.
it.
So it wouldn't keep getting worse, basically.
Correct.
Okay. Come on, dice. This one's important. That's one.
All right. Excellent. All right. So you very deftly, look at the medical supplies that you have. You see that there's alcohol, which is good, but there's not much, so you have to be very careful with how you apply it. So you start by, and we're going to have Nick do a willpower check for this.
You start by
You all would
draining
notice
the
that
pustules.
It seemed like Shakte is unnerved and out of place and doesn't really fit anything here. This is the first time you've seen him do something that it really looks like he knows what he's doing.
He's exuding confidence at the moment. So you have to start off.
It's a lot of pain, though. I mean, I can
Yeah.
only
Yeah,
imagine.
it's a lot of pain.
You notice that he has a lantern sitting next to him, and you quickly ignite it,
Oof.
and you sterilize the blade.
Oh, that's
of your
useful.
knife.
Thought I had that.
Just the tip. You're not going too far up it. You don't want to heat up the entire thing, but you want to make sure that.
Seals.
All right, infant.
Laura.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's a lot of innuendo earlier in that. I'm like,
You think you would have learned from the
I
first
like,
woman
I
who
kind of
tempted
knew. I
you.
was like, oh god.
all right, infants.
All right.
Go to bed.
So he heats the end of the knife, the business end.
Stonkin, this is going to hurt.
So I what?
All right, so we're getting there. I'm
He
explaining
heats up.
what the results of
the,
that nat one
The
is.
tip of the knife. Yeah.
All right, so he heats it up in the flame of the oil lantern until it looks like it's been sterilized effectively.
It's like glowing red.
And then he puts his hand on the side of the wound, looks at where the swelling and the pus seems to be worse, and kind of takes a quick breath. This is the first time he's kind of paused because he knows what he's about to do, and then sticks the knife in at an angle to try to get not to do the damage to the tissue.
Can I find something to put in like in his mouth so he can bite down?
All right, so continue.
Okay, sorry.
You don't have time.
Okay.
Only you would, but this is happening. So he bellows, and it's almost deafening when he does because it's echoing off the inside.
Mink is vibrating.
And
She's like popping off the
both
ground.
hands grab the haft of his axe as he does this. Just kind of instinctually, he grabs the axe. Do you guys react to that anyway?
I'm gonna try and open the door again.
You're back on your feet. So strength check.
18 plus 6.
All right.
9.
You kind of like crank on it, and the door actually like gets past that kind of like point of gravity where you're getting a little bit of help, and it starts to open up. Now he is
From me
sitting
yelling.
on the other side of that. But you were still able to get into the wound. And at this point, he's grabbed the axe, and
I've stepped back.
okay, you step back. So
there.
do you have any
Stonkin,
action to?
no, I know what I'm doing. This will kill you if you don't let me.
But
Reaction
that's
to that?
directly after I grab the axe
Yeah.
and I just slam it into the ground.
All right.
I just.
I need a willpower.
And you're just like.
Willpower check maybe, or
Willpower check.
Can I
Yeah,
just,
definitely.
with that, I'll just like put my hand on Shantae's shoulder.
another nat 20.
Nice.
You're in your
Like,
zone.
I am a medic. That is what
Like
I
a
do.
freaking boss, he hardly even like
Wow.
And
That
there's,
was
like-
cool, guys.
actual chips of stone like hit him in the cheek, and one of them draws a little bit of blood.
Wow.
I've had that happen with
Just
the
like a
saw.
tiny little blood
Before.
blister and like a little trickle, but
It hurts.
barely flinches. Doesn't even move the knife. He's still got his hand and the knife there, and then he pushes on the wound just gently around the sides of it, and dark pus flows out. Large quantities. At this point, you have passed out.
Oh!
So
Yeah.
we're gonna put you unconscious for just a couple minutes. So feel free to listen, of course, but you won't be able to respond for just a minute.
Mink,
Good, 'cause I'm out.
make sure he doesn't choke on his tongue.
Okay.
She reaches into my mouth and just
And cuts out his head.
Oh God.
and just sticks a knife through
I
onto the
just
ground.
like watch his mouth. I'm like,
All right.
I reach over with one hand and grab his tongue and pull it out.
All right. Yeah, he's gonna.
No.
The jaw hasn't locked. It's like a little bit slack. All right. So, and he's kind of hanging forward, so you don't have to keep holding this knife. You just-
I'm like, oh.
I would lean his face over.
Yes.
With my axe all out, like.
And then you have to. Fortunately, he's passed out because you have to go to both exit wounds and do the same procedure there because the pus is separated enough you can't drain them all from the same wound.
Damn, pus.
After the pus has been drained, or at least as much as you can get out, he's bled a bit more at this point. You've seen clean blood coming out.
That's what you want, right? Cool.
Saw me how to clean it.
With an infection, you don't want a lot of bleeding, but at this point, it's kind of like more
want clean
localized.
blood
It's
to
mostly
come.
from that new wound incision from the knife, not so much bleeding from the actual bullet wounds.
Cool.
So you drain it out, you get most of it out that you can, and wrap bind the wound with the clean cloth. There's really not much else you can do with the equipment that you have on hand. Oh, you also use the alcohol within it to rinse it, wash it out,
Clean it,
making
sterilize
a
it.
few
as best I
extra
can.
incisions in a couple places, kind of perforating it a little bit to try to get that really into that
Dang.
cavity, make sure it moves in there. It'd be incredibly painful if he was awake.
Yeah.
Now that I have
Assuming
a,
this is consumed.
Yes.
now that I have a way out, I would like to
Oh, actually, you
explore
haven't.
the tower.
Let's say that the gate is still coming down. Kind of jumping time a little bit here.
Oh, okay.
So the gate opens. So we're done with he's
Yeah.
still working on the medical stuff while this is happening. He's pretty
Yeah, it'll take a little while.
The gate opens, but it's actually cast some light in, which is helpful for what he's doing because the next character is like leaning in the alcove of the gate, and there's much more light to work with now than what was provided by the oil lamp. As the gate lowers, what would you like to do?
I would like to see if I can't find the living space. Maybe there'll be some helpful things around.
Okay.
As
So you want to go back up the tower, or you're going out of the tower at this point?
I'm trying to explore the tower.
Okay. So the gates open, and you want to explore the tower.
I now have an out.
Okay.
True.
So just wanted an exit.
You
I
don't.
want an exit just in case I need
Yeah.
it.
Smart.
But now I can explore the tower and see if I need or if there's anything that I could use in the tower. Maybe there's living space, maybe things I left behind.
Let's do a perception check, and we'll call this a perception check for the whole tower.
Yeah. That would be. Yeah. It's always. Yeah. Okay. 14.
14. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. You go up, and on the third floor, you find a chink in one of the rocks. At this point, you can do a strength check if you want. So one of the rocks, one of the stones that they've been pretty cleanly fitted into each other is actually like pulled out a little bit from the other ones, and that's definitely odd because most of them have been pretty uniform, pretty smooth, fairly well finished.
Okay. Yeah. It doesn't look like it's load bearing.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Looks like Finnish brickwork, because the outside of the tower is built with like much larger stones, and then the inside has kind of lined with smaller clay bricks.
All right. Well, crap. That would be a 9.
9 total?
Yep.
Okay. So you pull on it, and it seems like it's not loose, but it seems like it could move. Like you can almost push it a little bit, but you can't get a good enough grip on it to pull it with your fingers.
There's no living quarters or anything around.
Well, the living quarters were on the second floor, if I'm remembering correctly, and they were picked pretty clean. All you could find were some broken down bed frames, but maybe a little bit of fuel for a fire is about all you could get out of that. But it's pretty old wood, not much good fuel value left to it. And there are weapon racks around, but they've been picked clean. Like Val saw, there's etchings in some of the wood timber frames of the inside of the tower and the floors and the stairs. So
Would I know what it's written in?
you can do an investigation check if you'd like.
Sure, because I'm curious.
So you find a larger panel of kind of similar looking markings. Intellect.
17.
Skill.
17.
17? Alright. You recognize the carvings as being very similar to the carvings that you saw on the stonekin, the one that had been torn in half in the ravine. It looks like they're of stonekin origin, but they also look old. So there's some pictographs. Not all of it is clear. Some of it's also like a runic language that has a lot of sharp angles to it, a lot of intersecting lines that like kind of pass each other. Instead of like closing a triangle, it would have open ends, partially forming another triangle, things like that. So it almost looks like a written language, but you can't quite read it. But you do recognize it as being stonekin in origin. The one thing you do notice is that there is again, drawn in the same angular style, what appears to be a pack of dogs somewhere in the picture or in the panel.
Interesting.
And there's sort of some lines kind of angling in towards them, kind of indicating that maybe they're important somehow.
Alright. Well, seeing as I can't find anything, I'm going to try and clean this rabbit.
Okay. On the second floor still?
Yeah, why not?
Alright.
It's already ransacked.
Okay, cool. You have good fieldcraft, so let's go ahead and you're harvesting, so let's roll and see if you get your double food.
Okay.
So I think that was... I don't have
This
this.
is going to be survival, so
Yeah, survival.
willpower. Alright.
Sorry, I was going to pull this up on my other system, but I'm recording and I don't want to mess it up.
It's 24. 16.
16?
Well, 24.
24? Yeah. You get double food. You managed to get a good
Dude,
amount
bro.
of food from the rabbit, so...
So I get one more.
That's
Just
He stuffs the poop
See,
back in.
see that. I'm gonna eat the
What's that?
entrails.
That's just one more, because you gave me one earlier.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I forgot. I should wait until you harvest it, but that's going to be a lot to keep track of.
That's alright.
Yeah, so you successfully
I was
cleaned it.
gonna say, damn,
Again,
bro.
it's not going to be the best tasting meat because of the stress the animal's under and the fact you weren't able to clean it right away.
Yeah.
But it's a decent sized rabbit, and you know your way about skinning and prepping a rabbit. You now have some good little delicious bunny fillets.
I might just.
All right, so let's cool. While you're doing that, we're gonna bounce back down to the people who are on the ground floor. Does anyone want to go outside of the tower or anything? Shakte's still in his like underclothes, basically. While he's working.
Trapdoor. Kind of want
You
to
want to go over look at the
trapdoor.
trapdoor?
Yeah.
Sure. So you walk over that. It's about maybe. It's fairly narrow. It's like 4 feet by 4 feet, maybe. Not like super claustrophobic, but you wouldn't be able to spread your wings inside of it. So you look down. Let's go ahead and roll a perception check.
23.
3. All right. So your hawk eyes, your very attuned, like predatory eyes, are able to see fairly well into the murkiness in there. As there's still some sun coming through. It's starting to get a little late in the day. You're not getting direct sunlight coming into the tower. It's facing the door opening is facing the wrong direction. But you can see that the floor is about 30 feet. It appears to be stone with some dirt over it, but you can see some like cobblestones extending up from it. It looks like the passage, once down there, opens into a little bit of a room underneath. And then you can make out that there's a passage that runs horizontally, kind of to the west from there. But there's no ladder. You could maybe down climb the stones themselves, but they're fairly slick. There's little crimps to hang on to, but it wouldn't be a super easy down climb. And then there would at least be the 8 or 10 foot drop once you're through the passage shaft into that little vestibule underneath.
Could she float?
Could she? No,
Because
she's
she's
not
Harpy?
able to spread her wings.
No.
No.
Can
She could do some
tie my
crazy
rope
shit
up?
and try to spread her wings and use them like straight down the sides. But harpies are pretty touchy about
That
their
sounds not good.
They're
Not good at
sensitive
all.
and they're protective of them because they're relatively delicate. So
What about tying my rope off?
sure,
Seeing
you
if I
could
can-
probably find something to tie your rope off to.
Yeah. So I'm going to see if I can.
Perhaps one of the pillars supporting the spiral staircase. There's some timber pillars.
So I'll tie my rope off and see if I can't fit down into the trapdoor.
Okay, so you throw the rope down there and you hear it slap the bottom. So you have enough rope to get down, even though you're using 20 feet or almost 20 feet to get from the pillar. So go ahead and just do a dexterity check real quick.
Oh.
This rope is just giving me nat ones
9.
everywhere. You're fine. So you managed to shimmy yourself down because I rolled a 1. Otherwise, that could have been a problem. So you shimmy down. You feel a little claustrophobic not being able to spread your wings, and it's about 20 or 30 feet up to the opening. So it's not an insignificant climb. Has anyone noticed that she's doing this? Probably Mika. At least she's kind of a floater right now.
No, I'm watching. I'm kind of observing.
So you've seen that she's done this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then you feel your talons kind of clack clack on the stone floor, and there's a little bit of dust, and it smells very musty down there. And in the vestibule, you find a ladder that's kind of leaning, tucked underneath. The vestibule itself is almost the same size as the tower above it. And the ladder kind of comes in 2 sections. It's almost like an extendable ladder. So you can get the full height if you would like to. Set that back up. Okay. So you set the ladder up. There's really nothing else in the vestibule. You find back in one corner like 6 or 7 skeletons of rats. Or decent sized rodents, could be mice, but they look bigger than that. But they are old bones. Some of them have even like disintegrated a little bit. No sign of skin or anything else like that. And there's really nothing else down there. You find again some traces of old straw and like half of a wagon wheel that looks like it took some major damage at some point, and it's just kind of sitting there, but nothing really useful to be had from it besides maybe firewood if you want. But there is a passage that is standing height, low but standing height, probably about 6 feet tall or so, and again about 4 feet wide, something along those lines, and that leads straight out. And it's just dark. You can't really see where it ends necessarily.
Is it like pitch dark, looking down into the?
It's pretty much flat. It's not really at much of an angle. Maybe a slight
pitch dark though.
Yeah,
looking down in there.
It's quite dark. The only light you're getting at this point is coming from above, and as you look down in there, it's kind of like perspective thing where you're like, it could be 10 feet to the end of that, it could be 100 feet, I can't tell.
Could I roll perception and see if I can't see anything
Sure,
down the
you can try to peer in there a little more intently.
Drums in the deep.
You're overthinking.
20?
Okay. 20? Okay. So you can see that it's at least 30 feet that it runs. But then past that point, you don't know for sure where it goes. You also don't detect any strange smells. You don't hear any sounds coming from the other end, except maybe a faint sound of the river, but it's a little difficult to tell if that's kind of coming through the bedrock around you, or if it's kind of coming from the chamber above where you can still hear the river fairly well. And you don't feel a breeze or any sort of air. The air's fairly still, fairly dank, just kind of wet. Yeah.
All right.
So we'll leave you there for just a second, and we'll bounce back to the ground floor people. So.
Can
where
I
are you
look
guys?
around the walls? Because I heard that there might be symbols around.
Those
Did I
are
see
only
any of
on the woodwork on the second floor. It's really the only place that we've seen those. So yeah, if you look around, you don't really see any sort of significant markings. Maybe like if you like tally marks in some places, and again like maybe some small like obscene drawings or scribbles or
Okay.
Just
random,
does
like,
Celestia go to the
etching
second floor?
sections. If she wants to, she can.
Yeah. I want to scale up there because I saw those when I was going down.
Okay.
I'm curious.
So you go up and
Keep going everything, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna do something when the harpies are both gone. Just keep track of that.
cool. All right. So yeah, it is just you passed out. Nick's character
Minkit.
and Minkit on the ground floor. You don't have to actually be passed out unless you're really tired, Nick. That's okay too.
No, I'm like my guy. No, my character's still asleep, right? Like
Yeah.
he's still just like
Yeah.
done.
But
Yeah.
you'll wake up pretty soon.
Cool. I'm just kicking it.
I don't
Sorry,
want
interrupt.
to I don't want to take agency away from players for too long. So
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't forgotten about you. Is all I'm saying. All right, so you go upstairs and you're looking for markings.
Yeah, the markings and stuff. I want to see if I
And you
can.
see the hunter, and he's kind of finished cleaning, pretty expertly cleaning the rabbit.
Okay.
So go ahead and roll perception.
17 plus what is perception? Intellect?
Oh, no. Yes.
So 17 plus 7. I am really bad at math.
24.
24.
Nice. Okay, so you also see the same panel that the hunter saw, and kind of walk over to it and look at it. You have some knowledge of Stonekin markings, but not extensive. You do also notice the pack of what appear to be canine-looking creatures, and there's kind of some attention being brought to them. The other thing you notice is some what appear to be. Actually, let's go ahead and roll an investigation on top of that. There's another panel that you noticed that he did not.
Okay, so investigation would be plus 7. Okay.
That's it.
Oh, underneath the book you go.
18.
18 total?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Very
cool.
nice.
So you find
Blood splatter
Drusik
die.
runes. Some
Okay.
Drusik markings. Unlike the Stonekin's markings, these are very flowy. There's a lot of kind of finesse to them. They don't have those geometric or angular feelings to them. They're much more elegant. And one word sticks out to you, and the word is feeder. That's it.
Here's my
Feeder.
pants off.
Feeder. F-E-E-D-E-R.
Well, that doesn't sound good.
No.
Now does it? No. No, that's the answer. It doesn't.
What?
And so, describing it, I saw it just on the walls, on the panel of the walls.
Yeah, it's just it's etched into some of the woodwork.
Oh, okay.
But that particular Drusik marking is like larger, much clearer. It almost looks like somebody took like the end of a burnt piece of wood and kind of burned the inside too, so it would stand out more significantly. It's much larger than many of the other. Enough so that to like a human, for instance, who's not familiar with that type of language at all, it would just look like a decorative freehand design, perhaps, like
Okay.
an embellishment of some sort. But
Okay.
yeah, you're able to recognize it. So.
Good to know.
All right, so we'll bounce back to you.
Yeah.
The
So
harpies are gone, and as far as you know, mostly out of earshot, unless
Yep.
you know, Like, hey, those harpies suck.
Giant harpies and their wings.
I gesture at Minkit. Try to, hey, Minkit's like probably doing something, not paying attention or whatever.
As you're finishing up binding the wound.
Minkit,
Yeah.
come here.
Do you want the harpies to cover their ears, or is it okay if they hear?
It's fine. They can role play. They can role play. You know, not knowing
Right.
what they don't know.
He's like,
Perception check. I heard that.
Yeah, we overheard you in the hallways that echo throughout this entire place. But I was 3 stories above you.
And as far as I can tell, the Stonekin's knocked out still.
yeah.
As far as I
I'm
can tell.
done for, yeah.
Shut up, Nick. His breathing seems to be like slower though, so maybe he's like sleeping now instead of
Yep.
like, you know, gonna stay a shot.
This Stonekin, he mentioned some sort of monster that was chasing him. I fear that if it gets really bad, I mean it's already pretty bad, but if it gets worse, like really, really bad, the harpies they'll do whatever it takes to survive.
Yeah.
I've heard of harpies eating Fae before. Just for the taste or to try to take
Yeah.
the power.
Yeah. My uncle. Anyway.
I've lost someone before. Someone dear to me from a harpy hunting party. So I know they're not to be trusted.
Yeah.
So, if it gets really bad, like really bad, watch your back. And I'll watch yours too.
Okay. I've got your back.
Thank you. And then I'd go back to taking care of the Stonekin.
I'm watching. Oh, your cheek.
My cheek?
Yeah, there was some blood.
Oh, I didn't notice. Thank you. Kind of wipe it absentmindedly.
It's not a bad cut by any means.
Badass fish person.
Yeah, and then I go back to any bits and pieces of the Stonekin that I can help. Probably
All right.
check on his face, make sure he's not
Cool.
choking on his.
Yeah, you might
On
actually
spit
try
or
to wake
whatever.
him up at this point.
Sure,
because
yeah, I'll try to wake him up to check on
It
him.
would be good to see how he's doing.
You want
He's
to,
responding well.
Have the pleasure of waking him up.
He's kind of scary, so I'll leave that to
He's
you.
still, his hands are still on his axe. One hand is still on his axe. He pretty much like hit the ground and then passed out.
Yeah,
Yeah, you,
But it's still kind of like loosely gripped in one of his hands.
I'll try to like take the axe out of his hands.
All right, let's go ahead and do a sleight of hand.
He's a sleepy person.
16.
16? All right. So you're able to slip it out. And it
Okay,
doesn't
not far,
force
but
you.
I'll slide it a
Right.
little
Just-
ways
just
away.
Like you'd have to get up a little bit too.
Yeah.
All right, Nick. They might try to wake you up here.
Okay.
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 How's everybody doing on time? It is 11 o'clock.
I'm a sleeping giant. Oh, wake me if you 545. I'm doing all right on
I'm fine.
time. I mean, I have the typical, late night parent stuff.
I mean, I'm a night owl too, so I just don't want
Yep.
to.
I do work in the
I know
morning,
you guys,
but
Yeah, whenever you
good.
need. Whenever
Yeah,
you
it's
just
not
let us
till
know.
10.
because I can
I'm
kind
fine.
of paste that.
What, honey?
oh, I have work at 10 in the morning.
Okay.
It's a 2-hour.
All right, cool.
Then yeah, I'll try to wake him up. I'll like move to the head of his body, so like if he rolls wherever he's not right on me, take his head in my hands and like, hey, I kind of tap on his forehead and
Okay, so after a minute, he
Hello?
stirs and the eyes kind of wake up or open up, and he isn't immediately like. Fortunately, he doesn't seem to be as angry as
Yeah.
when he fell asleep.
do you feel any better?
Who are you?
I'm Shakta. Who are you?
I'm Havelock. You're the one who did the work on my leg.
I did, yes.
And I look down at my leg to see that it's
it's been
feeling better.
Yeah,
I feel
it's been bound cleanly.
Oh, it hurts a
Still-
lot
it
actually
still
because I
hurts.
made some new cuts, but
Yeah, I mean the initial sting
It
of
hurts.
alcohol work its way in, all that, but like it doesn't feel. You don't feel pressure from the swelling and the way you did before, and that was part of what was so horrible. It's just
That's what
feeling
made it
like your
really
leg was being
bad.
burst.
Yeah.
So that's been alleviated. It's still very painful.
Okay.
In some ways, the pain has transitioned from like a dull throbbing to a little bit more of a
It's
sharp,
like a
kind of like hurts, but your body knows that some help has been made.
Okay, so
You're not out of the woods yet.
I thank you, Shakta. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.
Who are all of you?
So far, it's just.
Where do you come? Or
Yeah,
okay,
Yeah, it's just me and Minkit. The rest
Okay.
of the people are gone.
Or okay, so who are you two?
Once I start hearing his rumbling, I might start making my way down.
Yeah, I'm not trying
Go
to be
for it.
quiet at this point. I was just trying to be quiet before.
Yes. You want to head back down?
Yeah.
Alright, so shoot back on the ground floor. You chilling where you are, Hunter? Your little rabbit cat.
Hey, Many.
Yes. I might find a place to, try and cook it up.
Okay. Probably the ground floor would be best because it has a stone floor,
Yeah.
and the other ones have Although there is actually, I'll take that back. So in the living quarters, there's kind of set into the walls a little bit. There's and then it kind of comes out from it a little bit. There appears to be like an oven area or fireplace area.
Is that a little bit further away from everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, set
Yeah,
up a
it's
little
kind of
bit
opposite of where the stairs come up.
a place to sleep. And,
Yeah.
yeah, that works.
Okay, so you head over there. You don't have anything to start a fire on you currently still.
Crap.
You can steal his plan.
I have a lantern.
There is a lantern down there.
Is there a lantern lit?
Yes.
Uh,
But it's on the ground floor next to the stone camp.
I might borrow it and not borrow that, but take a piece of wood that's kind of rotted out, which will burn really well. But then try to use it to start a fire.
Okay, so you collect up a little bit of the straw that you see around,
Yeah.
and there's some you can kind of, if you want to, you could try to like splinter off some wood from some of the bed frames.
Mm-hmm.
Best Buy services notifications.
So we'll go ahead and say that's no big deal. You managed to do that. And then if you would like to, you can go down to the ground floor at this point.
I think I'm gonna probably spend the night on that middle floor.
Okay.
A little bit easier, or not as easy for
But
animals to get to me.
Do you want
away
to? Do you
from
want
them.
to? Do you want to go down and try to, snag some of that flame for your little fire thing?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to roll anything for that. You just have to go down to the ground floor. All right.
Okay.
So you guys see him come down.
Come down, get fire, leave.
All right. So nobody has a problem.
So yeah,
Bye.
I faintly, when he enters, I faintly remember things start to come back that I remember other people being around.
Yeah.
I do faintly remember other people. So where did everybody go? Who are you guys? Why are you taking fire? Where are you?
Just ignore him on the way back up.
He doesn't like to talk very much.
Yeah, he's weird.
He's weird.
Quiet.
Quiet.
He's a weird, cool guy.
Weird cool guy.
And
What
one
is
of
a
the
weird cool guy?
That guy.
he's always already gone.
That's always so cool.
Oh, he's already gone.
So yeah, you get your fire started successfully, and right away the smoke starts to go up the flue, so you know it's not blocked, which is good.
We are banished. All of those you've seen. Are you a banished one as well?
I am. That's how I got here. Was I was banished, and then that's how I met the dryad who I thought was helping me understand where I was in this godforsaken place, but we were chased by something through the woods and ended up here, and then she shot me in the leg and left.
Why did she shoot you? What did you say?
Happy person.
I don't recall. I don't recall as much as it was.
Did she take anything from you?
Nope. She was pretty cool about. Well, she took my dignity. But she, something was chasing us, and she tried to sacrifice me for it. That's why she shot me in the leg.
What?
She was basically shooting me in the leg, leaving me here because there was some darkness, a shadow that moved. We could see it from the top of the tower, and it was
Shadow.
yeah, it was like it was a light eater.
Disconcerting.
It looked like a
Shadow.
light eating in north of the steppe. In the Budaru, what we call the Budaru, it's Stonekin term for our like sacred halls that are carved out of stone in the Valerian Mountains. Valerian, right? God, am I getting that right? Valerian.
Valerium, I think.
Valerium Mountains. We carved like grand halls out of these mountains, and for a long time there's been word that when we did that a long time ago, our ancestors released this thing we call the Wretched, and there's many names for it, but yes, I believe that's what we could have been chased by.
What is the Wretched?
It's not a being. What I saw, it was just the wind. It moves against the wind. It is a darkness. It's like a shadow that moves, but there is nothing blocking the sun. So
I step in and I get closer, kind of like into the light. Is this separate from the monster you talked about?
no, this is the monster. Nay. No, nay, this is the monster. This is the same thing I was talking about earlier.
Okay.
Can I borrow your lamp?
For
Just for a minute.
okay.
And I'll take the lamp and I'm gonna go look and make sure Val's not eaten by this monster that's
Okay.
hunting us. So I'm just gonna
Yeah,
poke
so
my head
we'll bounce
underneath
back
and
to you
hold
'cause
the
a
lamp
little
down.
bit of time has passed. Have you gone down the passage, or are you kind of
No, I'm still kind of
like making
Kind
sure
of
there's nothing else in that room?
making sure there's nothing else.
All right, so you
in-
see the lamp light come over, and then he casts down, and you look up, and there's just kind of like Shakte's face. Just like,
Like,
What did you find?
Perfect timing. Can I actually borrow that real quick?
Did you set up the ladder or?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
I set up-
uh,
set up-
Sure, and I hold it out, and I don't come down the ladder. But I hold it out.
All right.
do you want to climb up
Yeah,
again?
kind
All
of
right,
climb
climb
up.
up and get it.
Grab the light.
Give it to you.
Climb
Handoff
back down.
successful. Much easier with the ladder than it would have been with the rope.
Yes.
All right, now you've got some light down there,
All right. That's when I.
and then you say,
Just borrowing it for a moment more.
Yeah. Just for a moment. You don't need it right now.
All right, so the light casts a good
I'm just
50-foot
out of it
radius.
kind of still. I'm like still
Yeah,
waking
it would
up.
be.
I'm still
The light
kind of
casts
like,
a good
okay.
50-foot radius. in
Kind of
front you
quiet,
at least.
too.
Maybe
quiet
slightly
type.
further, but again, it's
You
far.
weren't
It
a
doesn't really be
second
reflective of anything. So
I need-
you can see that now that the passageway extends at least 50 feet. As far as you can tell, you don't know how far the light from the lamp goes, but it's still dark at the end. But you can see a good long ways. It's straight. There aren't any other junctions coming off of it. There's a few like shelves kind of built into it that look like maybe they were used for storing items at one time. But that's about it, and it appears to be straight. It doesn't appear to curve or go up significantly or go down significantly. Would you like to go down the passage, or
Yeah. Let's see what's down the
so
passage.
you walk down the passage, and after about 80 or 90 feet, it's hard to say for sure, you see a door up ahead of you, a heavy wooden door. And it's not bolted in any way. There is a bolt assembly on it, but it appears to be open. But the door itself is closed in a frame. So you can, it looks like it opens outwards, not inwards, but you can open it if you would like.
Yeah. Let's see if I can open the door.
All right, you open the door, and as by the way, as you come up to the door, you hear the rushing of the water more loudly. You open the door, and you find that it's standing on a ledge that kind of hangs out over the river gorge somewhat, and there's some little handholds kind of cut into the rock behind you, next to where the doorway is, that lead back up onto the bluff where the tower sits. So you can't even see the tip of the tower at this point. It's far enough at like kind of an angle. It kind of came out at an angle. But you could climb up that if you wish, or fly up it. It's not very high to get up there, maybe 15, 20 feet, something like that, from the ledge you're on to the lip of the rock that you can see above you.
Yeah. Like.
Climb up?
Go ahead
Okay.
and do that.
So you clamber up. It's not the easiest climb ever. Or do you want to fly? Actually, you can just do it.
Yeah. Let's go ahead
All
and
right.
just fly.
Quick fly, just boom, boom, and you're up over the top, and you see that it's kind of in between where the Merlin girl had been, and the tower, you know, a good maybe 100 feet at a diagonal from the tower. But it's also extremely hard to see that the ledge is there because it kind of cuts underneath a little bit. So from standing up above, you have to walk to the very edge and lean out a little bit to see it's there. So without knowing the location, it would be difficult to find it. Would you like to mark it or
Yeah.
do anything like that? All right, so you collect some stones and you make a small little cairn right next to where the ladderway is. What would you like to do at this point?
Probably go back. And
Okay.
let them know what I found.
Do you want to go back through the passage, or not that it matters that much, but
Yeah, go back.
okay. So you go back through the passage. Cool. And then you pop back out again after like 10 minutes have passed, maybe, or if that. It's not a very long passage. Probably 5 minutes, because she took her time, but there wasn't that much to see. Do you want to close and bolt the door behind you or anything like that?
Yeah, just
Okay.
be on the safe side.
You shoot the deadbolt home. It seems to be pretty solid. The hinges are still intact. A good thick door built from similar timbers to the main door into the tower. So it's a little bit of a sally port that you found there. Cool. All right, so you climb back up the ladder.
Did you find any shadowy monsters out there?
I was supposed to be looking for shadowy monsters? Why didn't nobody tell me that? I wouldn't have gone otherwise.
That's why.
What did you find?
The Stonekin said there was something chasing him, a shadow that moves against the wind.
Well, I didn't see any shadows that move against the wind, but I did find a kind of a escape route if we need it. A little bit.
Is that where the Druce went?
I don't know. She disappeared down a hatch. The hatch,
This hatch?
yep, goes down.
Alright, well, that's probably
Far.
where she went then.
Yep. And I don't know, but you should know that shadow, it makes a noise, so you'll know if it's around. You'll know if it's coming. It makes a
Well, that's
pulsating, whiny noise.
Imagine this.
Do I think that that's the same creature as a shadow creature?
Is quite
Probably.
the scary hilarity.
Well, I need to get like a voice modulator thing, so when I talk, it's like I always sound like
You
my
just do like the
character,
Bane
so-
voice. Be like,
I have an idea.
The
I know what I'm gonna do next time I come here.
no, you can do,
My
you can
voice
do whatever you're
modulators.
comfortable with. There's no requirement to do voices at all.
Oh, I'm getting into the.
He's gonna come back and be like, I got vocal surgery.
I'm gonna bring nitrogen. I'm ready.
Oh
I'm gonna bring nitrogen, so it's really heavy gas, so my voice will be like.
Then you have to do helium. I said,
yeah.
And I'll be like high all night. Oh my god. I'll like get.
idea.
People will be like, you okay? And I'll be like,
Stoned
my name is Sal.
Stone skin.
Stoned Nick.
Kin.
Yeah, somebody needs to just draw a picture.
No.
Yep. Stonekin.
That nitrogen stuff is I remember in science they taught us
We got
it's a
like the
heavy
full-
gas, and that's what
full
makes your
laugh
voice
from
lower. Like helium is a lighter than air gas, so that's what makes your voice higher. And
I
yeah,
can get you stoned.
yeah,
Not quite yet.
it's good to know. It takes a lot for us
All right,
Stonekin.
so at this point,
Our
the,
BMI is
the
up
sun.
there.
The sun is basically its last light. The sun is starting to go down, and it's starting to get a little bit colder. But you're inside, so you're not exposed to the wind.
I've got
There's
this
a little bit of insulation from the walls, but it's definitely not a warm. It's just stone walls. So it's definitely not a warm location, but we'll say it's like maybe one cold right now. So if you guys all have at least one warmth from your clothing or from your racial
I'm-
abilities, then you're just
So it's basically like we're naked in an ambient temperature room. It's like 70 degrees.
pretty much. Yeah, you would
It's
feel like
not too cold,
Yeah,
not
or
too
like-
hot, but it's
I'd say
not
you feel like
comfortable
like
either.
maybe 60 degrees with your clothes on.
Yeah,
You
you're
have
not
fire.
incredibly comfortable
You have fire, so
either.
you're toasty. Yeah,
I'm not
you're
quite
doing
nice.
just fine.
Okay.
The rabbit's been cooked up at this point and smells much better than it did before.
Oh yeah, it smells so
Um,
good,
smell
dude.
it?
Good
You don't-
job.
Yeah, you can smell it, totally. You don't really have anything to spice it with or season it with, but,
You better
it'll-
give the
it'll do.
first piece to the Fae.
Yeah, there you go.
Alright, so is there anything else you guys would like to do at this point within the tower?
Minkit, Let's close this drawbridge in case anything comes to us in the night.
That's a good idea.
And then the two weakest characters in the party
Yeah.
attempt to.
Let's do a combined.
We are both doing it now.
Let's do a combined strength check on you.
And I'm just standing there watching.
Or what
Oh,
I
yeah.
could do,
Let me muse.
or what I could
Alright.
do is I could
can help
hobble, like I could also hobble onto one leg and help them.
Sure, if you'd like to. Let's
Strength
have you do.
check.
Let's have you do a quick willpower check.
5.
5 plus
What?
Willpower. Seven.
will.
7. So that's 13. 12. I mean,
Okay, 12. Yeah. So you still can't put weight on your leg, but
I
you're
can-
able to kind of like by grabbing onto
Oh.
you know the like a lip on the stone, you can kind of pull yourself up, and you're able to reach over with one hand to help you.
that's
Alright.
awesome.
So we're gonna
I'm
do-
just like I'm the weight
Yeah.
of the drawbridge.
Even just like the weight of the one hand like moves the drawbridge just a little bit. Your hand isn't that heavy.
No.
All right, so let's have you guys all roll strength, and
I
Nick,
rolled
we're
8.
just gonna cut it in half, whatever it is.
I got a 14.
I rolled 8.
All right,
Roll
cool.
again, honey.
Yeah,
What?
if you want to roll again, Nick.
Strength.
It's no. You're
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, he's still really weak.
10.
Oh, jeez.
Doesn't matter. It's natural one.
Yes, and you know it seems to kind of frustrate him just a little bit that he's still weak and he sits back down. But you guys are able to move it between the two of you. Make
Actually,
it,
cool.
make
That's
it
cool
literally like,
development.
so you're on one side of the windlass,
that's
kind of
perfect.
pushing up, like getting your back into it, and Minket's hanging on the other side. And then she'll jump and hang again.
With her little legs, just like.
Okay, I'll walk up and I'll help.
All right, so the drawbridge again closes a little reluctantly, but it closes too, and it feels even a little warmer now that that's been closed. And
Why did
at
the
this
hunter
point, you
even
just
open
have
that?
you just have a
He
little
wanted to
bit,
escape her.
a tiny bit of light coming in through the
Curious.
slits, and you can
Curious
kind of a little bit of ambient lights coming down, but it doesn't really make it through all the floors. So most of the light is coming from the oil lamp that you have, and there's a little bit of a red glow on the stairs or the wall by the stairwell from up above. And you can smell a little bit of smoke, not an alarming amount, and some cooking meat. And now that the door's closed and you can't hear the river so well anymore, you can also hear a little bit of maybe a crackling.
It's almost pleasant.
Yeah, it's almost quiet and relaxing. It's somewhat warm
Oh,
because of the
yes,
fire
romantic.
too. I start to slowly drift off, and then people hear me snoring, and they're like, "Oh my god!"
Make it vibrating again.
That's gonna make stealth checks to see if you're gonna actually snore really loud.
True, true. They hear me snoring and they know I'm asleep, but am I snoring loud? Oh, jeez.
What'd you get?
7 plus my stealth, which
Do
is
you want a low or a high stealth?
That's-
I'm not sure what you want.
I
my
know.
dexterity, which is 5.
I
That's
don't know that it matters.
pretty loud, man. I mean, that's
Alright,
pretty
it's,
good.
you know,
Pretty loud.
for
12,
a stone
12.
kitten, it would be a very polite level of snoring.
Yeah.
Like it would be okay, even if
It's
you were
like-
like you know, listening to somebody speak on
No,
some
it's more like-
subject or something like that. That wouldn't be an impolite level of snoring.
He must be
But
feeling better.
for all the other races, there's a good like
Yeah, like a.
a rumble, like a nice chest
Yeah.
snore.
Yeah. I like it.
All right, so you
What is wrong?
you ate some food and you drank some water. I guess.
I drank some water.
Yeah, I guess you'll be technically a little hungry if you don't eat the rest of your food and water.
Well,
If are we gonna go to Day's End at this point?
I think we should, yeah.
Day's End. Okay.
I have.
yeah, because
I,
tomorrow morning I can have the rest of my water
and I
and
took
my
walks
leaf,
before, so I'm pretty tired.
my couple
All right,
leaves.
so we'll just go in order here. So, Faye is first always. So do you want to eat your? Let me note here. I'm not saying anything about
Did she end up by the fire?
it. Yeah, it's up to you. Where do you guys want to be for Day's End?
You're getting cooked.
I think we'll try to go join the cool guy.
Okay.
Sure.
Not trying to move
Go up to
Havelock,
the
of course.
No,
Because
we'll leave him.
I am
that's
huge.
not happening.
I'm staying on the
And
main
he
floor.
He seems.
But
so,
kind of like on the
ground
other
floor.
corner. Yeah.
Ground floor. Okay.
I seem
I don't
pretty
need the
out
fire.
of it and done for.
All right, and then the three of you go
I go
upstairs
up to the fire.
where the fire is.
See if I can't find a reasonable bunk.
But you guys
Yeah.
saved
No.
the half-dead
Shredded.
stonekin.
Yeah.
You did. You saved and revived the half-dead stonekin. So.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm like safe
Or a
with
third of the
everybody.
way
Like
dead
I know where
stonekin.
everybody's at. We're in this little
Sorry.
tower, so I
Okay.
just want to get a little bit
So-
alone.
If you would like to be well fed for the evening, which you would,
Yes.
because you're a fae,
Yes.
then you need to give me one
She
food
gets
and one water.
angry.
Yes.
She'll kill you in your sleep just because she didn't eat her nighttime muffin.
Exactly.
And her nighttime
And
crumpets and
this is
tea.
kind of like a flavor thing, but you guys want to try drinking the water that you were supplied with, or the water that you filtered back from the pool.
What does that?
Oh, this
What?
Which again has like a little bit of a taste to it.
I'll just
Oh,
have
like
the
has
water
minerals
today.
in
But
it?
as far as you know, it's fine.
Do we
That's not a
have to?
threat.
Okay.
And so they're not minerals.
I'm not gonna pull some random shit.
No, they're minerals, but not the ones you want.
He had some.
I-
You tasted some, right?
Yeah, I did. I
Have
drank some.
more
He
than
drank some and he's had
one.
no stomach problems. No, there's no sign that there's any issues. Which, if it was bad water, you would probably have some
Probably,
indigestion pretty quickly.
So I fiddle a lot. I know I had more than one water, but I don't know where it is.
Oh, that's okay.
I don't know how much I had.
Can you
But I
fill
know
in
I
the
had
ground?
another
Well,
one.
let's see, because we filtered 3 water, I think, and you think you gave
Maybe
it
it's
to
in your mushroom.
I gave him.
I'm carrying 5 water, so
5 water.
for whatever that's
Oh,
worth.
there it is.
Oh, you
I
got
know I
it.
had another one and another.
Nice.
It fell on the
I
ground.
fiddle too much.
All good.
I mean, I guess at this point you guys don't have to drink that water because you possibly have cleaner sources of water available if you don't want to. But.
I've already drank my 4 water that I need for the day, and
Okay.
I kind of whistle to myself and look off in the distance as people eat, and like occasionally they might see me like glancing quickly at them eating food because
Okay.
I don't have any food.
All right. Actually, you only need to give me 2 water because
I don't need to give you any water because I already drank 4 water today. I drank when we were
Right,
at the
you-
Raven. Unless there's
yeah.
been a night, I drank at the Raven pool. I just
Okay,
drank water.
so you've had okay.
That's right.
So I already had my water for the day. I just
You're in
haven't had
good
food
shape.
for the
I
day
was gonna say you only needed 2 at the Raven pool anyway
because I swam.
you
Yeah,
swam for a while.
correct.
So-
But there was a lot of water, so I drank
Yes.
4.
Did you end up near the fire?
Yeah, I'm near the fire.
They're all kind of
Yeah, we all are.
yeah. Where are you guys? Did you like sit down next to the hunter?
Yeah,
Or
by
he's the
the
closest
fire.
to the fire.
I'd probably be sitting next to the fire with, it right about here.
Okay.
I'm sitting across.
Do I
from
notice
him.
that he's not eating?
Roll perception.
That's always intellect, yeah? I always forget.
Yeah, sorry. It is.
Probably would
13?
be. I would say probably be
I'd be
his
watching.
perception against my deception because I'm trying to not show that I'm eating,
Okay, you're trying to.
and it's only a
hide
9 for me.
Okay,
Trying
what
to
did
hide
you
I
get?
got
13, I think he said.
13, yeah.
it. You do notice that he's not eating. You watch him drink water, and you've noticed the other people are kind of, opening up their bags and pulling out food.
Oh, ears.
So yes, you notice.
So I say, Merlin, here's some food. I toss it to you. You're gonna have to catch.
Okay, I catch
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
Catch it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
are-
you.
You are not eating. You must eat. Today will be harder than yesterday.
I hope not. And I eat it.
All right,
So
and I'm
you're
obviously
well
gonna
fed and watered.
eat one. Eat one.
And then let's see. You gave me food, Faith. So good. Okay, and then I need
water.
How much do I?
for human. I need 2 water. From
2 water.
Yeah.
Do you need more water?
No, that's all I've got.
Then I give him.
Roll perception. No, are you trying to hide it, or do you want to say?
I'm
anything?
not trying. I'm trying to be open.
Okay.
Yeah, I.
You notice that he doesn't have any water.
It looks like I can return the favor, Strider.
Thank you.
Here's some
Coming
water.
up with names right now.
Well, you have long legs and you move quickly.
Where you look?
That much comes out.
There's like a red. There's a flash, and he like moves.
All right, so we're still waiting for the
I've
harpies.
noticed as long
How
as
many?
too.
Okay, so for harpies, I need 2 water and 2 food, and it's got to be
2
meat.
waters and 1 food.
2 food. It
2
has to be
food.
meat.
And how much water?
2.
2. Shit.
2 food
Should
and
eat a
2
lot.
water?
Damn.
For
Harpies be hungry. They've got fast metabolisms.
Damn.
Darn.
I'm gonna have
Oh,
to-
gosh darn it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find some more food
After
soon.
a certain day.
Fishing tomorrow.
Them Merlings starting to
Them
look
Merlings
real
like,
good.
what?
Yeah.
Did you say that out loud?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh God.
I've been calling him sushi sushi this entire time.
I move closer to the Fae and I sit back to back with her, with Minkit,
Nice. Okay.
as I eat my rabbit.
All right. So we'll say that Havelock is half fed, but he's gonna need the rest of his stuff in the morning because he's gonna wake up really hungry. But he
Okay.
fell asleep before he was completely good. All right. So the fire starts to burn low. At this point, if you had a minor wound, Nick, it would be healed. But because it's a major wound, it kind of sticks around until we can perform proper surgery on it.
Gosh, dang it.
Gosh dang it! I know it sucks, but it's still gonna get a little better in the morning. I'll tell you that right now. So, all right,
Okay.
so you can still hear the roar of the river outside, but it's almost calming in some ways, sort of white noise. You feel pretty safe, pretty secure inside. Would you guys like to post watches or
Definitely.
anything like that? All right, you need 2 people, one person.
Minky will stay up.
One person at a time, I think, is probably
Person at a
sufficient.
time. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
we've got the walls.
All right, sounds good. And yeah, maybe like keeping watch at the top of the tower, perhaps.
Yeah, that's what I would do at least.
Okay.
Yeah,
Shock day.
I took watch last time.
Yes. All right. So, first watch goes by, no problem. Second watch goes by, you see, let's say it's on Val's watch. Take second watch, unless you guys want a specific order, but
It's fine. Whatever.
just jump in if you're like, oh, it takes second watch. You see a large group of ravens fly over at one point, fairly high in the air, and you can hear them they make like a clucking and chattering noise sometimes when they're sort of neutral. It's not a, like, I found food, I'm gonna eat it, or anything like that, but you can hear kind of a clucking noise from them as they fly over, but you hear the sound of wings and, see some birds fly over, appear to be ravens at one time, but besides that, nothing to report. Really don't hear any other sounds from outside at all. And then third watch comes, and that's Shakte, and he sees maybe far off in the distance a point of light from a fire, perhaps. But it doesn't look large. It looks like it's maybe somewhere out in the grasslands. And-
Back the way we came from, or
Yes,
like south,
so
or
to the east, mostly to the east,
Okay.
and a little bit south.
Okay.
And the fire stays lit as far as you can tell, but the longer you kind of stare at it, the longer you're like, "Ah," I need to keep my head on a swivel and look around.
Okay.
But you can't really see what's happening with it per se.
Okay.
But it stays lit throughout your whole watch, and then the hunter, his watch passes as well. He's on fourth watch, and
I point out the fire.
The fire, yes, you point out the fire to him. The fire actually goes out at some point during his watch.
Okay.
Perhaps just burned low. It's way too far away to really tell anything that's going on, how big it is, any of that. It's a little flickering point of light. And then it doesn't come back on for the remainder of his watch. And then Celestia will have you on final watch. So you'll be carrying the group through till dawn. On your watch, you have your wings kind of hunched around you. You're plenty warm. The others had to maybe take extra clothing or any sort of cloth or anything that they had wrapped and kind of make improvised gloves for themselves. They were a little cold. Besides Val, of course, but you're up there just fine. And you also don't notice the fire; it hasn't come back on. It had been indicated to you. But as you're sitting at the top of the tower, you feel like just for a moment that somebody whispered to you.
That's never a good sign.
Just for a brief moment. It could have been a trick of the wind. And maybe they said, "Come find me." But it could be just, you're tired and you don't know what's going on. You don't know maybe if it's, it's connected to anything else. But
What if they're
your
saying-
character, would probably pay it a little more mind than anybody else would. So that's all I'm going to give you for that.
Okay.
And then first light starts to come up. And you see some specks in the shadows, kind of long shadows of them, starting to move across the hills, the lower grassy hills off in the distance. All right. So, do you guys want to continue on, or do we want to call that a break point? Yeah.
Well, that doesn't sound good.
I gotta leave with a little bit of a teaser.
Exactly.
I will say they are kind of headed in the general direction of the tower. Not like a beeline for it, but
Flecks of light, you said?
some shadows, some
Oh, okay.
dots. You can't really make out what they're from, but
Yeah.
you can kind of see the little
Okay.
the little points of the shadows and the long morning rays as the sun starts to come up.
Cool.
All right.
And there's a lot,
Oh, wow.
more than 20.
Okay.
Okay, what?
Okay, what?
No, that's a good stopping point.
Should we call it a day?
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like a good talking point.
All right.
I like it. Did we ever check out that loose rock that you found? Cool guy? Okay.
I don't think you.
Cool.